happening with it. And all right, guys, let's just get straight to it. Yo, this is Set with Set Media, guys, and I'm back with another one for you guys. All right, man. Today is an I Told You So stream because Scott Besson went to negotiation with China, and things went pretty well for us. So we're going to get the breakdown on that, and we're going to go over the current trade deal with UK again. Why? Because guys, we're petty. We kind of want to rub it in the Dems' face. And we're going to also get into how the Dems are also covering it. All right, guys, go ahead and double tap that screen. Let's go.
Really great for the UK also. So they're opening up the country. Their country is a little closed, and we appreciate that. They'll also be fast tracking American goods through their customs process. So our exports go to a very, very quick form of approval, and they won't.
Yeah, and like people say, oh, the supply line is going to take forever to set up. No, they're expediting it. They're even expediting our products. So, yeah, all that. Oh, Set, there's going to be a hold up. Yeah, no.
Won't be any red tape. Things are going to move very quickly both ways. The final details are being written up in the coming weeks. We'll have it all very conclusive, but the actual deal is a very conclusive one. We think just about everything's been approved. So good for both countries, and we'll also receive new market access for American chemicals, machinery, and many other industrial products that weren't allowed, and they'll end up getting products that they'll be able to price, and if they like them better and we make great products, they'll be buying those products, but they were not available in the UK. Furthermore, in a historic step, the deal includes plans that will bring the United Kingdom into the economic security.
All right, so it also opens up for our material makers as well.
Alignment with the United States. That's the first of its kind. So we have a big economic security blanket, and that's very important. And we feel very, very comfortable with that because it's been a great ally, truly one of our great allies. I mean, a lot of people say our greatest ally. I don't want to insult people by saying that, but I can say it's certainly one of our greatest, and right at the top. And they're the first one we're talking about. And by the way, we have many meetings planned today and tomorrow, and every country wants to be making deals. And we have a meeting, as you know, Scott will be going over to Switzerland on Saturday. And that'll be very, very interesting. We'll find out. But I think they want to make a deal very badly, too. Both countries have agreed that the economic security is national security, and will be working together as allies to ensure that we have a strong industrial base, appropriate export controls, and protections for key technologies and industries like steel. Steel is a big factor. Both countries will become stronger with steel and things necessary for military. You know, we used to build ships and other things.
And both companies will be, not companies, but both countries will be cutting off Chinese steel. I mean, yes, they'll be keeping China from pretty much dumping their watered down steel into the, already cut it off the, Chinese steel from the United States economy. But now UK will be doing the same.
Literally at a level
Vietnam
that nobody's ever seen.
And,
we haven't, we've eased up, and I would say that the UK certainly eased up, but now we're going to be uneasing both, and we work together. Once again, I want to thank Prime Minister Starmer. He's been terrific for his partnership in this matter, the special relationship and external bond. It's really an external and an internal bond between our two countries will soon be stronger than ever before. And we really do. We have a great relationship. I want to just say that the representatives of UK have been so professional, and it's been an honor doing business with all of them, and in particular the Prime Minister. And I'd like to introduce him now to say a few words. Mr. Prime Minister, please take it away.
Thank you, Mr. President, Donald. And this is a really fantastic, historic day in which we can announce this deal between our two great countries. And I think it's a real tribute to the history that we have of working so closely together. Can I pay tribute, Donald, to your negotiating team as well, particularly yes. Howard and Jameson, who've done an incredible job, a very professional job, and my team as well. Two negotiating teams have worked at pace now for a number of weeks to bring in this deal today. Really important deal. This is going to boost trade between and across our countries. It's going to not only protect jobs, but create jobs, opening market access. And as you say, Donald, the timing couldn't be more apt, because not only was it 80 years ago today that victory came for Europe after and at the end of the Second World War, but of course on that day, the UK and the US stood together as the closest of allies. And Donald, I think even down to the hour, because you may or may not know that it was about this time of day, exactly 80 years ago, that Winston Churchill announced victory in Europe. And that led to great celebrations across Europe, across America, but particularly in the United Kingdom. Literally people going out into the street, putting bunting up, going up to the palace. And so to be able to announce this great deal on the same day, forward, almost at the same hour, and as we were 80 years ago, with the UK and the US standing side by side, I think is incredibly important and makes this truly historic. That close relationship has endured over those 80 years. As you know, Donald, when it comes to defence and security and intelligence sharing, of course, there are no two countries that are closer than our two countries. And now we take this into new and important territory by adding trade and the economy to the closeness of our relationship. It is built, as you say, on those notions of fairness and reciprocal arrangements. We've always had a fair and balanced arrangement between our countries. This builds on that, hugely important for sectors like car manufacturing and for...
Yeah, and let's go over the car manufacturing part, because there are tariff reductions in the automotive sector. Yes, so tariffs on UK cars, well, UK cars imported into the US will decrease from 27.5% to 10%. I mean, nice. With a quota of 100K vehicles annually. So there you go.
Steel and aluminium and so many others.
And speaking on the steel and aluminum, yes, the 25% tariff, that the US tariff on UK steel and aluminum will be removed, and an alternative arrangement likely involving quotas at, well, most favored nation rate, or most favored nation rates, which means it's pretty much going to be a deal, will be negotiated. So we're pretty much just taking off the tariffs off their steel and aluminum, but we're keeping 10% on the cars.
And yes, we can finish ironing out some of the details, but there's a fantastic platform here, including, of course, on the tech side, where I think I'm right in saying we're the only two Western countries with trillion-dollar sectors when it comes to tech. And in the end, it comes down to, as you say, Donald, economic security is national security. On national security, we've been absolutely the closest of allies for so many years, keeping the peace through that close alliance, that friendship. And now we add to that this deal on trade and the economy. And I want to thank you for your leadership on that, Donald, and for the way in which your team have negotiated this. And I'm so pleased that we've got this deal, we've finalised it, and we've built an incredible platform for the future. So thank you so much. Donald, I'm now going to go and do a press.
And also, to explain the agriculture side of the tariff deal, it does sound like UK will be taking off its 20% tariff on US beef and granting the US a tariff-free quota of 13,000 metric tons of beef. So there you go.
conference. I think you have your press in with you. But on the details, I think if you've got Howard, we can deal with that through one of my team.
That's great. Well, Mr. Prime Minister, thank you very much. It's an honor. We're going to have a continued, maybe a better relationship than ever before. You know, I don't know if the media knows, but the U.S. and U.K. have been working for years to try and make a deal. And it never quite got there.
Yeah.
It did with this Prime Minister. So I want to just congratulate you.
Well,
And make sure to like the video, guys. I appreciate the support. So go ahead and double tap that screen and like the video with the 3 dots up there in the corner. Let's keep it going.
with this president, this prime minister, we've managed to achieve what many people have tried to achieve for many years.
Right.
And I'm really pleased. And it feels completely historic and on a special 80-year anniversary as well. So, Donald, thank you so much. It's really good to have got this deal over the line. Tribute to both teams, tribute to our countries, and tribute to your leadership.
Thank you. Well, it really is a great thing. And you go do your press conference, and I'll see you soon. Maybe speak to you later. But thank you very much. And an incredible thing. I can't tell you that for so many years, even as I sat, everybody talked and talked and talked about a deal with, it just seemed like a natural deal, but it was not done. But now it was done with us. So I feel very proud to have been a part of it. Keir, thank you very much.
Thanks.
And let's talk about the non-tariff barrier reduction. All right, so the UK intends to reduce or eliminate non-tariff barriers that the US perceived as discriminatory against American products and will streamline customs procedures for US goods. So yes, they're expediting the, well, I guess the supply chain of our goods. So shout out to that.
Donald, and we'll speak again soon.
Very good. So long. Bye.
Okay.
Why don't I do this? Why don't I have our Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, give a little description of the deal pretty quick, and then the good side, the very nice side, we'll be speaking about it also, maybe from so you get a pretty equal. I think it's a very it's just been a deal that was, we thought, very complicated. It became very simple. It's opening up the country that we really didn't have the kind of access to that I would have thought. I was surprised. I think it's why the deal never got done before. It was, you know, they've been working on this deal for 25 years. And we got it done, and we got it done. Really, it's going to be great for both countries. So, Howard, if you could go, and then somebody else, you may have, you'll pick whoever you want who'd like to do it. I have a feeling you're going to do it, right? So you guys go ahead, and then we'll take questions right after that. But I think you'll get a pretty good understanding of how big it is. It's a very large deal, very big deal. And Howard, go ahead.
So the UK is the 6th largest economy in the world and the 4th largest that we export to, right? So it's a huge market, a top 10 market. If you remember Liberation Day, they were at 10% because we have balanced trade with the UK, right? They say they have a surplus, but of course that counts gold bullion, which is, so let's just call it balanced trade. So how do you open up a market in balanced trade? People think it's impossible. They've always thought it was impossible until President Trump came on the scene and changed the way things work. So here's what we've got. We've opened up new market access, ethanol, beef, machinery, all the agricultural products. They've agreed to open their markets, and that will add.
We, like I explained, we definitely opened up the agriculture. So yes, the UK will be eliminating its 20% tariffs on US beef and giving it a quota of 13,000 metric tons. So I mean, shout out to that. And then there's also, you know, non-tariff barrier reductions, like, you know, the market access given to the agriculture, which means $5 billion in new export opportunities for U.S. farmers, ranchers, and producers, and both, you know, digital trade as well. So both countries have committed to negotiating provisions on digital trade to reduce paperwork for UK firms exporting to the US. So yeah, and aerospace and other things as well, like pharmaceuticals, which we'll get into.
$5 billion of opportunity to American exporters. So the question is, why would they do that now? Because they've never done it before. And we still have our 10% tariff on, which will produce $6 billion of revenue for the United States. So the idea was, how do they keep their jobs, protect their economy, and do the best for their people while opening the market for us. And the way is they studied it. Their team was exceptional, and they tried to figure out the markets that they're importing from other people and try to send them over to America. So why were they always favoring others and not us?
And shout out to my man AJ. Says Officer Tatum interviews Miss Peyton Jackson. I might have to tune that. I'm gonna have to put that one in the queue, my man. Hey, appreciate the support and appreciate you, AJ, for starting us off. All right, man, let's keep it going. And
And what they've done is they've found the ways to do that so that we have new access, right? But the UK workers are protected. And that was the balance. So we did a deal with them in automobiles. And if you're not building here, we charge you a 25% tariff. But the president, and by the way, I want to make this clear, while Jameson and I worked hard, this was the president's deal. And people think, oh, that's not the way it works. If you got to sit next to him, I have the best deal maker to my left. And if you don't think that we take advantage of him calling the prime minister and getting that deal done, you don't understand who's the president of the United States. So he's the closer. He gets deals done that we could never get done because he understands business. He understands deals. And that's why we're here today. So he agreed they could send 100,000 cars into America and only pay a 10% tariff. Okay. And that protects their car industry. And remember, we do 16 million cars a year. So this is only like 0.6%. But for the UK auto people, this is tens of thousands of jobs that the president agreed that he would protect for them. So he made that deal, right? Then steel and aluminum, right? Their steel business has been destroyed like everybody else has been destroyed.
And I will go over it again. Yes, steel and aluminum. The 25% U.S. tariff on steel and aluminum will be removed. And like I said, an alternative arrangement, likely involving quotas at most favored nation rates, will be negotiated.
Destroyed by people dumping steel into their markets. And British Steel had announced it was closing down. So the British government, as part of this deal, nationalized British Steel, and they're going to match the kinds of models we do. They'll put tariffs on, they'll put quotas on. They want to do it with America so they can be part of the resurgence of steel and aluminum in America. And that saves them, again, thousands and thousands of jobs. So if you go step by step, aero and commercial planes, they sell Rolls-Royce engines to Boeing. We've agreed to let Rolls-Royce engines and those kind of plane parts to come over tariff-free. And what you're going to hear today is there's going to be an announcement in the UK that they are buying $10 billion worth of Boeing planes later today. But I'm going to let the name of the airline announce it because that's theirs to do it. Part of this deal was always to do it together and to do it strong. And you can see the numbers on this board. Everything about this board works exceptionally well for the United States of America.
And if you don't know, the large order of $10 billion in Boeing planes, yes, that we're going to need a lot of people to work those planes, make the parts and all that good stuff. And yes, actually, we do manufacture plane parts in America. Yes, we do. Surprise, surprise.
Lays out the plan that you can work with us in autos. You can work with us with aero and commercial. You can work with us in pharmaceuticals if you have a supply chain that is secure and protected in national security. So we feel really good about that.
Now, when speaking of pharmaceuticals, and shout out to Trump because I believe it's going to be around 10 a.m. this morning. And yes, in the morning time, Trump is going to announce how he's going to reduce the cost of pharmaceuticals to what these pharmaceutical companies charge. Well, I would say the most unfortunate countries. He said, well, I don't care. I don't care about their problem. Charge us the same price you giving them or somewhere around there or no deal. So shout out to Trump. Now, he does say now for the UK, he says in pharmaceuticals, I'm adding, the deal aims to establish a secure supply chain for pharmaceutical products. So, yeah, we're going to be working with them in pharmaceuticals.
The deal, you've heard the prime minister, he feels really good about the deal, right? And we started at 10% and we ended at 10%. And the market for America is better. And this is a perfect example of why Donald Trump produced Liberation Day. People don't understand he gets things done in a matter of time. This would have taken Jameson and I 3 years, maybe. And instead, we got it done in 45 days certainly because we work for Donald Trump. So Jameson, my partner in all this, maybe Jameson, you'd like to talk a little, and then we'll turn it over to the UK.
Sure, happy to do that. Everyone has great remarks. I just have to echo the President and the Prime Minister when we talk about VE Day. This is something we've been waiting for decades, and there's no more appropriate day to do this. And when we step back and we look back a few weeks from now or months from now or years from now, we're going to look back at this day and better appreciate the significance, I think. And I'll just say as well, in terms of negotiating, I mean, the UK negotiators, you know, we've got one right here, did an incredible job, right? This is why you win wars, right? When you act like this. And
I know, and we'll get back to this real quick, but let's get into this Face the Nation interview, you know, with this same UK trade ambassador. And hey, man, this man's feeling good about it, and Lord knows we're feeling good about it. I think we're all in a good place, and everybody should feel happy about this. But for some reason, the Dems just refuse to feel any type of happiness or have any type of optimistic view. It is what it is.
We're delighted to turn now to the United Kingdom's ambassador to the United States, Peter Mandelson, who's here making his Face the Nation debut. Ambassador, thank you for being here.
It's great to be here, and happy Mother's Day to all those mums out there.
Indeed, to all of them, wherever they are. I wanted to start with the fact that the United States and the United Kingdom have now announced a framework.
God, you better have called your mom today and wish her happy Mother's Day. Like, for real. Shout out moms.
For a trade deal that covers all sorts of things: steel, aluminum, cars, beef. You're scrapping a 20% tariff on U.S. beef. You're raising the quota on its imports. Do you have any sense of how soon this deal is going to be finalized? And do you trust that the United States is going to hold up its end of the bargain?
Oh, yes, we regard it as finalized.
I ain't gonna lie, that's kind of disrespectful. It's like, bro, we've held up every trade deal. We've kept our side of the bargain every time. Really, the whole reason we're in this trade war is because we hold up our side, but the other countries don't. We try to do a fair trade deal with Mexico and Canada. They didn't want to be fair players. We tried to do a fair trade deal with China. They wanted to start exporting their goods in other places. It's like, what do you mean, can we trust America? Screw that. Screw you guys.
A deal is a
We
deal.
trust y'all.
And I have absolutely no doubt that the president and his colleagues, Secretary Lutnick and USTR, Jameson Greer, having said they would do a deal, have been true to their word. They delivered this deal, and I have absolute confidence that they'll see it through. And it reflects the sort of amazing, confident relationship between our two countries and the cordial relationship personally between the president and the prime minister. Now we can build on it. I mean, we can look to other trade barriers that we can bring down so as to create more jobs in the United States. And also something very close to my heart, I want to see us build a close US-UK technology partnership to invest and build future industries in both our countries, which are science-based and driven by technology.
Right.
That would be a great gain.
And that's not part of this deal, so it requires another round.
No. It's featured in the deal, but it requires now work.
Right.
Wow. See, why, bro? Why? Mainstream media. Why can't y'all just be happy? Why y'all got to sit here and try to frame everything as negative or, oh, well, this might not really work for us and all this good stuff? Bro, this man, as an American, literally sat here and said, well, can you trust America to hold this deal? Can you trust America to go along with the guidelines of this? I mean, when have we not? But it is what it is.
No. It's featured in the deal, but
let's hear it. Say it again.
Both our countries, which are science-based and driven by technology.
Right.
That would be a great gain.
And that's not part of this deal, so it requires another round.
No.
It's yes, it is part of this deal. You must not read it, homie. There's digital trade, there's aerospace, pharmaceuticals, intellectual property. All that has been discussed. All of it.
Featured in the deal, but it requires now work to design it.
My read in the British press, I'm going to pin this on the British press, is that you've accepted a worse deal than the UK had before, just to get out from the shadow of the tariff threat. Is it that you guys perhaps rushed to be first before all other countries?
I literally didn't understand the logic of that. The fact is that...
Well, you're paying more tariff than you were before, right? That's part of it.
Well, in some cases, but in other cases, we're not.
Yeah.
I mean, in some cases...
Hold on, G. This man hear himself? It's like, bro, He said, well, you're paying more tariffs in general. I mean, no, it went, bro, the tariffs on cars went from like 27% to 10%. Bro, we had it 25% on their steel and aluminum. That has now been removed. Agriculture, I mean, that was for us, honestly. But yeah, they've actually, well, as far as steel and aluminum's concerned and their automotive sector, yeah, they've seen less tariffs. Yeah, they're getting a huge reduction, especially when it comes to, well, steel and aluminum.
We're down to zero. So, and in other cases, for example, in autos, we've got absolutely secure quotas for exports to the United States. So it's a good deal, and I'm very pleased that we've achieved it, but now we have to build on it.
The other tariff thing that came up this week that has the potential to adversely affect the British economy is the idea of a 100% tariff on any movies produced outside the United States. Have you discussed that yet with the administration? Do you have any sense of how that could adversely affect the British film industry?
Well, we touched on it, but this is American film production taking place in Britain. And we want to protect the American film industry.
I mean, let's be real. Let's be real. We got the best films ever. We have the best series. We have the best televisions, best Broadway shows. We're just better in entertainment than everybody else. And that's just the fact of the matter. It is what it is. I mean, even, bro, come on now. Republicans and liberals, we could both, bro, conservatives and liberals, we can both agree that we just got the best entertainment.
And tariffs, if you can put a tariff on a film, is not going to do that. But whether it be in respect of films or pharmaceuticals that may be coming down the track towards us, we have an agreement in this deal that British interests will be protected alongside those of the United States.
I want to turn to Russia and Ukraine because that was a great focus of your prime minister this weekend. Yeah. He said after the announcement of the proposed ceasefire this weekend that if Putin, quote, is serious about peace, he has a chance to show it. But he's basically ignored the ceasefire proposal and is now once again calling for one-on-one talks. I mean, is there assessment of your government that Russia's at all serious about this?
Look, at face value, it's constructive that he's offered direct talks for Putin with the Ukrainians. But then when you look at the small print, you see that he wants these talks so as to call into question the very existence of Ukraine as a free, democratic and sovereign nation. And in the meantime, overnight this weekend, we've had Russian munitions and drones raining down on Ukraine and killing Ukrainian people. It doesn't seem serious to us. And we're very glad that the Ukrainians have embraced this ceasefire, as the president asked them to do.
And now, I mean, reported today, Putin's now embracing this ceasefire. But all right, let's get back to the Pacific set of trade deal. And then we're going to get into how China kind of folded today.
The ambassador, he knows more about trade than a lot of us here based on his background. And I would say on this deal, Mr. President, what we've shown is that it is time to change the way we do trade. People said we couldn't do a global tariff. We did a global tariff. They said no one would want to deal with us. People want a deal. They said no one give offers. You saw that stack of offers I showed you yesterday, all those countries. Said we wouldn't get deals, and here we are with the deal with the 6th largest economy. We've agreed to have fair and reciprocal trade, and we've done it in record time.
Thank you very much,
sir.
Great job.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Ambassador, please.
Well, Mr. President, thank you very much indeed in hosting us this morning. And thank you very much indeed also for that very typical 11th hour intervention by you with your phone call to the president, demanding even more out of this deal than any of us expected. So thank you for that. The Prime Minister was delighted, obviously, to take that call later tonight. But you took it to another level. And I think the point I would make is twofold. One is that if we're going to rebalance and rebuild international trade in a way that serves all our interests, then we're better doing that together than separately and apart. And that's what we're on a mission to do. But secondly, you've done what you said you would do. You said to the Prime Minister when he came and we visited in the Oval that you would do a good trade deal with the United Kingdom, that you would do it at pace and that we would be first. And you have delivered that. You know, you've been true to your word. So thank you very much indeed for that. For us, it's not the end. It's it's the end just of the beginning. I mean, there is yet more we can do in reducing.
You know, so funny, bro. We're talking about a guy who was pretty much calling Trump like a lunatic. Is now pretty much just saying like, bro, I ain't even gonna lie. You kept your word, man. You kept your word. You told us we'd be first. You expedited the process. Like, shout out.
Tariffs and trade barriers so as to open up our markets to each other even more than we're agreeing to do today. But it also provides us with the platform, the springboard to do what I think will be even more valuable for both our countries in the future, and that's creating a technology partnership between the United States and the United Kingdom so that we can harness science and technology.
Guys, let's make sure we like the video by double tapping that screen. Let's get more people in on the conversation. Appreciate the support, by the way, or hit the 3 dots up there in the corner.
In order to create future industries and future jobs, and to do that together in the way we work so closely already in the national security and defense area, we can just take that to yet further areas of science, enterprise and endeavor. So we're looking forward to doing that in the coming months. You've launched us extremely well today. It just, in my view, as the Prime Minister has said, just shows what two countries who trust each other, who are confident in each other and are familiar with each other can do, not just for ourselves, but for the rest of the world who need to benefit from a bigger and better international trading system.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. It was beautifully stated. What a beautiful accent.
I'm telling you, I swear to God, bro. It's just, I ain't gonna lie, British guys, you got it. You got it. When you guys speak in your elegant words and all that good stuff, damn near learn a new word every time I hear from you guys. So I give you guys that.
Yeah, that accent. Thank you.
My mother would be proud.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
James Matthews from Sky News.
Yes.
Can I ask, why Britain and why now? And you described this deal as a full and comprehensive deal, and yet we've just heard from Mr. Manuel said it's the end of the beginning. Clearly, there's much more work still to do.
Yeah.
With respect, are you overstating the reach and significance of this deal because you're a president who needs a result at a difficult time?
I think that it's a great deal.
And remember, guys, the call-in line is open tonight. Just go to the post tab, and we'll go ahead and have you on for about 3 minutes if you are a supporter or a member.
For both parties, it's for us. We're opened up. I didn't know how closed it was. Quite closed, the market, as you know, the UK, and it opens up a tremendous market for us, and it works out very well, and a lot of assets. You see the chart, and those are tremendous assets. But we've been trying, and when you say why us, meaning your country, we've been trying for years, and they've been trying for years to make a deal, including when I was in the, first term. It would always be people talking, but they weren't getting it done. But for 25 years before that, they were trying always to make a deal, a very significant deal. I actually, until I looked at the numbers, I didn't realize this is a very conclusive deal, but we think we can grow it even from that. But this is a maxed out deal, not like you said it. You said it really incorrectly. This is a maxed out deal that we're going to make bigger. And we make it bigger through growth. But we have tremendous assets involved. I was surprised to see how big your country is in trade, actually. One of the biggest in technology and so many other things. It's agriculture. I really didn't know. It's depending on your definition, it's from 4 to 5 to 6. That's pretty big in the world. So I was very impressed by that. But we're going to take it to new levels. It's a very big deal right now, but I think it is going to grow just of its own volition. It's going to grow, and over time there'll be changes made, there'll be adjustments made because we're flexible. We'll see things that we can do even better, but it's very conclusive, and we think everyone's going to be happy, and the people of your country are going to be very impressed with the result. they'll be able to buy from more people. They'll be able to price things differently. They'll be able to get some products that aren't available to them now that we make better than anybody in the world. And it's just something that it's a great thing that it came together. It's so nice because we have many countries want to make a deal, and many countries are very unhappy that we happen to choose this one, to be honest with you. But it's a long time, our oldest ally, or just about. I guess a couple of people claim that too, but let's put it right at the top. I think it's going to be something very special for UK and special for the United States.
Mr. President, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. Reagan Reese with the Daily Caller. How close are you to more deals, and when do you expect the next to be announced?
Well, very close. We have numerous deals. I know Howard's going back as soon as this is finished. Your press conference, he's got numerous.
And I mean, at this point, D, we have 2 confirmed trade deals, and now we got one with Ukraine, their minerals deal that got passed through their parliament. We got this one with the UK. And actually, you know what else is funny, guys? You know, so also so funny. We also have a Supreme Court win that came in, I believe, like last night. Yeah, the Supreme Court has decided to let Trump keep deporting these gang members through the Aliens Enemies Act, and there ain't nothing y'all can do about it. And also, well, shout out to the Supreme Court. Yep, they ruled in the favor of Trump. We can keep these flights going.
And Scott, who's right over here, who's fantastic, by the way. You were great on television this morning. I watched you. That was very good. You gave them a little lesson in the world and economics. But Scott's going to be going to Switzerland, meeting with China, and they very much want to make a deal. We can all play games. Who made the first call? Who didn't make them? It doesn't matter. It only matters what happens in that room. But I will tell you that China very much wants to make a deal. We'll see how that works out. Every country throughout the last 40, 50 years has literally ripped off the United States on trade, on military, on protection, on all the different things. And we are now making fair deals. And in this case, it's great because we really weren't very much involved. You have the European Union, which is, I think you made the right decision years ago. I don't know if you remember, I was opening up Turnberry the day that you were voting, and they asked me, would it happen or would it not happen? I said, no, I think they're going to go their own separate way. I think
actually, let's recap what my man Scott Besson had to go through. This man had to go through some BS with these Dems, man. It was like, bro, they didn't want this man to give a real answer, and the real answer was him filibustering. And I was just like, okay, so you don't want a real answer. You just want him to agree with you.
Education. Thank you very much.
The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Wisconsin, Mr. Pocan, for 5 minutes.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Mr. Secretary, for being with us. My main concern is, I think, what people are looking at the economy. The first 100 days, lowest stock market since Richard Nixon, not usually a measure people are shooting for. On tariffs, the fact that last year we had an effective rate about 2.5%. I think the Yale Budget Lab, and I believe you went to Yale, has said that effective rate is closer to 28%, the highest since 1901. I know some of that's changed because the tariffs are on again, off again, some on again, some off again. Somewhat chaotic, I believe, as your term is, what, Crazy Ivan style. I compare them to how a monkey throws dung. You're not exactly sure where they're going to land. And that's the concern I have as a small business owner. And I know Ms. Luzenkamp-Perez is as well. I've got small businesses really worried. You made a comment about while cargo volumes have dropped 60%, you see this as a temporary detox. But for a small business that's getting by day to day, that's much bigger. You talked about Main Street. We want to finally focus on Main Street, not Wall Street.
I would tell them this. I'll be like, all right, look, you're worried about small businesses. And the small businesses usually get their supplies from the big corporations. And the big corporations are the ones who's mainly taking these, big orders at, the import. So, okay, we're taking these big orders at the ports. So usually these corporations are either going to take the hit on their supply line or their profit margins, which means most of these small businesses who order from corporations aren't really going to see any price increases.
I think you were at a global investor conference in Beverly Hills yesterday. That's the cocktail party where you mentioned the Crazy Ivan theory. And before that, you were at a JP Morgan Chase World Bank investor private investor summit. All those things are not Main Street, right? Main Street is an auto body repair, a specialty printer. So my concern is on the tariffs. Who pays tariffs, Mr. Secretary?
The corporations or the company who pays it at the port. Now they can either work out an agreement with the supplier to reduce their costs, so the tariff percentage doesn't matter. The tariff cost doesn't matter anymore, or the importer can go ahead and take it on a profit margin or take a hit on the supply line. But what they'll rarely do is pass it on to the consumer due to the competition in the market. Well, that'd have been my answer.
No. Answer the questions I asked, please. I only have 5 minutes. Who pays tariffs?
Sorry, well.
Who pays tariffs?
Sorry.
Mr. Secretary, please.
Excuse me.
The question is very simply, who pays tariffs, Mr.
I know it is a simple answer, and if you let him finish, he give you the same answer I gave you.
Chairman? I'd like him to answer that question.
Well,
He wants to answer other questions.
well, Congressman, if the exporters, they dislike tariffs so much, why wouldn't they? If I think what you're trying to get me to say.
Did you remember the question? I'm not sure you did. Who pays tariffs?
It's a very complicated question.
Reclaiming my time. People pay.
Because no, not people pay tariffs. I would tell them like, no, that's actually a lie, because it's like industry specific, company specific, it's boardroom specific. Like the GM. All right, the GM CEO pretty much said, yeah, we're not going to raise our costs due to the competition in the car market. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and take a hit on our profit margin. A lot of companies are either getting the supplier to reduce their costs, taking hits on the profit margin, or getting the supplier to take a hit on their side. You guys got to understand, it just doesn't fall on the consumer, because that would kill these guys' competition in the market. Because what if the other guys don't raise their prices? And most of them won't, because they rather give out on, let's say this, and then we're talking about GM, right? GM pretty much said they make $10 billion, well, $15 billion a year. Due to tariffs, they'll be only bringing in $10 billion a year. Now, you could see that as a big loss, or you could see that as, well, if they raise their prices and pass it on to the consumer, they could lose out on that $10 billion profit that they're, well, sustaining.
Tariffs, right?
Wait, what? When did y'all care about big corporations' profits? I thought y'all hated big corporations, guys. I'm talking to the Dems.
Reclaiming my time, Mr. Secretary. Reclaiming my time, Mr. Secretary. Reclaiming my time. You clearly aren't going to answer. I'm not going to waste my time having you go, Mr. Secretary, reclaim, Mr. Chairman, I asked reclaiming my time. Mr. Chairman. And I asked to reclaim my time. Did I not? No, I said reclaiming my time, because he's clearly not answering it. So, yeah, so as a small business owner, and unfortunately, I'd like that time back since you failed to recognize me for 30 seconds. So I just recently, from one of my suppliers, got the tariff surcharge on things. And in addition to the tariff surcharge, guess what else got raised? American-made walnut plaques. That has nothing to do with tariffs, but companies take advantage and do that. So right now, we are getting screwed, right?
Okay, so these guys who make these plaques, I would say, all right, well, aren't there other sellers who didn't raise their prices because they would kind of see they lose out on the market? It's a pretty dumb business decision. Like the toy company Mattel said, oh, well, we're going to go ahead and pass down the cost to the consumer, but while also hiding the fact that they're moving their production out of China to go to India. But that's besides the point. They say they're going to move their costs on to the consumer. And I'm just like, go ahead. I mean, there's other toy companies who make dolls that we can buy from. And if you guys raise your prices, then that means you're just going to give up the market to other toy companies. It's as easy as that. I mean, the consumer will go for the cheaper price. I mean, that's what y'all been doing with the Chinese made products. So your actions ain't going to change now.
Right and left because of the indiscriminate use of tariffs. That's the reality for Main Street. And you go off to Beverly Hills for private investor conferences and talk about crazy Ivan theories. Answer that. What is the crazy Ivan theory of tariffs that you mentioned at the summit?
Well, first of all, sir, I've had meetings with more than 50 small lenders. So I want to clarify that. I would also say that in game theory, strategic uncertainty, of which you seem to like the name Crazy Ivan.
Well, it's your words, correct? Didn't you use Crazy Ivan at the?
Well, you've used it 5 times. And
answer the question, Mr. Chairman.
I am saying the strategic uncertainty is part of negotiations. Should we say,
Okay,
oh, here's what we'll accept. Please take this.
Okay, I've got your answer. Thank you. I'm going to reclaim my time again.
Hey, and shout out to my man Big Wave Dave. Like, did you hear a major car manufacturer is moving back to the U.S.? Oh yeah, I believe GM. I think GM said they were honestly about to start taking these steps to move back to the U.S. because one, they don't want to lose out to Ford. Yeah, I know Ford kind of is about to dominate the market, and GM's seeing that they are an American company, they do want to bring manufacturing back here. Trust me. We got a lot of guys coming back, Dave. We got a lot of them coming back, crawling back. Really, they should have never left, so now they're crawling back. So you really got to hit him in the profit margins, and we thought the Dems would be happy, Dave. We really did. I thought these guys would be oh so proud. Like, man, shout out Trump. He's hitting these corporate elites in the profit margins. Instead, these guys are crying.
For a small business, we don't have that luxury, right? When the ports are empty in California and we can't get goods and people are stocking up for Christmas goods.
Actually, you know what the most scariest thing about y'all Dems is? Like, y'all don't believe in the power of the people. And I'm talking about the American people. I mean, y'all believe in communist China more than you believe in the American people. Shame on you, but it is what it is.
Crazy Ivan is great for, please don't take this offense, really rich people like you. But for people like me, it's not, right? That's what makes small businesses fail. That's what makes people lose their jobs. That's what makes the stock market tank. So I'll ask one more time, who pays tariffs?
Sir, the history would show that it is a complicated mix of who pays the tariffs over various times.
Yep. So that's exactly the problem. If you're answering, you are a very educated person.
Oh, bro, that's probably the best answer you could get if you're just being honest. Be like, oh, yeah, you're right. It is industry specific. It is complicated on where the company or the exporter will decide to place the cost of tariffs. It is a tricky situation. I will be real. If you ask most CEOs, they'll tell you, though, they'll be like, yeah, we're probably going to take that on to our profit margin or just cut work or hit it down the supply line. It usually goes like that because due to competition, nobody's trying to raise their prices.
And you have a very impressive bio. Cannot answer the question who pays tariffs because you won't answer that. And you say it's a complicated issue. It's not complicated. Consumers pay Trump's tariff tax. That's the reality. And I'll yield back, Mr. Chairman, but I do think.
No, that's not the reality because a lot of business owners came out and pretty much said, yeah, we won't raise our prices or we're going to tell our suppliers not to raise their prices. Why? Because they just rather go ahead and take it on the chin because they don't want to lose out on sales. And trust me, them taking the L to tariffs is a whole lot easier than taking the L to, downward sales. They don't want that. They do not want that. I mean, I'm telling you, the people, we hold more power than y'all think we do. And honestly, Trump kind of giving the people more power with these tariffs, but y'all don't see it because y'all just want to give everything to the government and the corporate elites, but you don't even know it, Dems. You don't even know it.
Better for them. And they did. I think it's going to end up being a very smart decision. But a big part of that decision was always that you'd be able to make a deal with the United States. And they were unable to do that. But now they made it. And it's a tremendous, it's very important. That was always a big part of your decision on Brexit. And they were never able to make that deal. It was, it was a tough one. And this one it's amazing with time. This one just went very smoothly, went quickly and smoothly. And a lot of common sense, as I like to say. It's tremendous common sense, but it's going to make your country much bigger in terms of trade. And it's going to make our country much bigger in terms of trade, too. Yes, okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead, behind you.
Oh, yeah, Tom Baker with the BBC. Thank you, Mr. President. You mentioned meat.
You're with who?
The BBC.
Oh, good. Very nice. They treat me beautifully.
You mentioned meat.
They treat me beautifully.
The UK currently doesn't.
All right, man. Hey, shout out to my man Big Wave Dave. What's going on, dog?
Yo, bro, what's up?
Man, it's all good, man. Anyway, though, so what you think? Yeah, what's up?
So, watching all the snippets that you show of the Congress hearings, have you ever actually went on C-SPAN and watched that nonsense?
Bro, I usually wait till they just drop it on one of the news stations like Fox, Forbes, and I watch it.
So you don't suffer through the nonsense.
C-SPAN is so dry.
No, but the fact that they show these hearings in full, Like, you need to fucking watch it and like listen to like you can get the
Oh no,
snippets
bro,
and
trust me. I listened to the entire 2 hours of close to 2 hours of Scott Bessen's hearing and Cash Patel's. And bro, these guys are in a way deranged because it was the most annoying thing to watch them ask this man a question. He answered the question, then they said, no, that's not how I want you to answer. And you're filibustering for giving me an extended answer. And I'm just like, you guys are asking them economic questions. These are not yes or no questions we're talking about.
But my point is, like, if you watch that, like, on the regular, like, you watch there's plenty more than what you see in the snippets or whatever the case may be.
Oh yeah, then they did the ones with the business, like Sam Altman, and I think there was a hearing with Facebook Zuckerberg.
Yeah, there's tons of them, but if you like legit like watch like C-SPAN, like they have like just live viewings of what Congress and the Senate does. If you watch that shit, I guarantee you want to blow your fucking brains out.
I mean, bro, with the Scott Besson one, I was like low key getting irritated. I was like, man, can this guy answer? And then even with the Cash Patel, they was coming at this man's neck. I mean,
but I just mean in general, like the fact that the stupid shit that these fucking scumbag freaking politicians bring up, like, are you fucking serious? Like,
yeah,
what the fuck is the point? I don't get it. And I've watched C-SPAN a lot and I still don't get it. Like, what the fuck are you going? What the fuck are you bringing this stupid shit up for? Like, it makes no fucking sense. They're just trying to get that snippet so that they can say, look, oh yeah, I fight for you. But no, they're not fighting for shit.
No, they just want to disrupt the process. It's not even about fighting anything. I honestly wonder what their stance is. Because like I said, they have all the criticism, but no real plan. So it's just a bunch of whining at the end of the day.
That's all it is. Like the whole, like the Jasmine Crockett and all of them, like all they do is just, they sit up there and bitch and complain, but they don't actually do anything.
But all right, Dave, though, I'm gonna go ahead and keep it moving. And hey, yo, you can come up again. I said I was gonna give everybody 3 minutes.
Yeah, you can mute me. I'll stay here.
All right, I got you, big dog. And all right, Steph, what about you? What you think? Steph?
Which
Oh, okay, cool. You're here.
Which part? Because I also had something to share too.
All right, go ahead and share what you want to share.
Did you see the new statue in New York?
Yeah, that disrespectful statue of a black woman.
Mm-hmm. And there's two of them apparently.
They made 2 of those ugly statues.
Apparently, there's 2 of them. There's one that's like really, really tall, and then there's another one that's very, very short and pudgy.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie. That was so disrespectful to black women. If I was black women, I would be so offended. I'm like, this is what they think about y'all. You know that, right? Like you know this is exactly what they think. Look at that statue, black woman. I want you to let y'all know this is what literally the Democrats think about y'all. But
very.
Hey man, y'all want to take that to the chin? That's on y'all. I
had to bring that up because it's been an ongoing subject on the other live, and I'm like, okay, I have to see it, make sure that if S.E.T knows about that yet.
Oh no, trust me.
Yeah, everybody knows about that statue, and it's like an AI generated statue. It's a bunch of bullshit, but it's going to go away. It's only there for a certain amount of time. So it's New York City that paid for that. It's the taxpayer dollars that paid for that to be there.
Ugly ass statue. They couldn't have
found but New York made the taxpayers like understand where government money comes from. It comes from us. So they gave them money for that to be there, and it's going to be there until a certain time. I think they said July. Bruh. And then it goes away. But like, why are you wasting taxpayer money on that bullshit?
Man, I don't even know. But all right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and keep it moving on this one. Appreciate you guys for coming up. I will bring you guys back up later on. I'll let y'all know. If y'all want to stay in the background, just let me know.
Yeah, just mute me.
All right, then. All right, Steph. All right, Dave. I'll get right back to y'all. All right, let's go.
Because of its own food standards. Are you calling on the UK to accept all American beef and chicken products?
Well, I think they'll take what they want. We have plenty of it. We have every type. We have every classification you can have.
And I made this argument. Everybody keep acting like, well, we have nothing but bad actors in the meat industry, and we don't. There's ranchers who actually practice sanitary policies to keep their meat clean that would meet the standards of the UK. It's just y'all just don't give us a chance. That's why they said it was honestly BS for guidelines on our meat, and I believe it. And here's the thing: I also believe that there's some guys out there who play dirty, who probably do wash their chicken in bleach. I will not sit there and doubt that. But there are good actors who do deserve to get into the UK market.
As you know, Bobby Kennedy is doing a tremendous job, and he's, I think, probably heading toward your system with no chemical, no this, no that. And I think we're heading that way. It seems to be. And but we have that also. So we're a very big country. We have a lot of beef. We're a very big country, so it'll be great. Yes, yes.
You want me to jump?
Yes.
Let's talk about American beef really quickly, and it can't be understated. I'm Brooke Rollins, by the way, how important this deal is and what this means to American farmers and ranchers. Specific to the beef, this is going to exponentially increase our beef exports. And to be very clear, American beef is the safest, the best quality, and the crown jewel of American agriculture for the world. So I think a really important part of this deal isn't just the ethanol reducing of tariffs from 19 to 0, which for our row croppers is a huge deal, but also for beef. And as we move forward, I know our incredible trade team is looking at all of the meats, all of the produce, really all of our agriculture exports. And I don't know if there's an industry that has been treated more unfairly and has suffered more than our agriculture industry. So we look forward to,
And shout out to my man Todd. He says, read the Fifth Amendment, due process. The problem with you guys and you Dems and the Fifth Amendment, really, you guys are referring to the 14th, but yeah, you guys take a section out of the 14th Amendment and kind of apply it to all, and I mean like all, anybody who's in the USA, and that's an incorrect application of it. And when they talk about due process, they mean what? People, what was it? When they mean persons, they don't mean any person inside the U.S. He said persons thereof, their jurisdiction thereof. Jurisdiction thereof means that a person is a person born or naturalized in the United States, which these illegal immigrants are not. So, and they do get due process. The due process is that, oh yeah, check your ID, you're a citizen. Okay, cool. You go through this process. Oh, I check your ID and you're illegal, or you don't have one. I find out you're illegal. All right, cool. There's something called expedited deportation that you might want to look up, my friend.
Be in the UK on Monday, talking to my counterpart over there for next week, and look forward to moving that out across the country. The president is
I think we can say that we have the best in the world, best tractors, the best everything in the world. And they say that our agriculture is, second to none, you understand, and it'll be a great asset. People are going to be able to have options, choice, and they'll have more of it. And that usually means lower prices. How about we'll do you and then you? Go ahead.
Question for the client TV, Daniele Compatangelo, LA7 TV 2000 Primetime Media. So congratulations for the deal. We'll see a big revenues from the chart. But what's the rest of Europe? It's a victory day, but other European countries, it seems like they're losing.
We intend to make a deal with.
Oh, and shout out Todd. You are now eligible to call in if you want, and the call-in link is in the post tab. So appreciate the support, my man Todd. Even though we disagree, I do appreciate you supporting
Europe. We have found that the European Union treated us extremely unfairly, very difficult, and hurt themselves in doing so. And they very much want to make a deal. We'll be dealing with them. We are dealing with them currently. So that'll cover pretty much the rest of it. But this was separate because of Brexit in particular. This was a separate deal. It always seems so natural. I mean, all the media would say that this seemed to be like, why did this happen 25 years? Why didn't it happen a long time ago? And it was always amazing to me. Somebody would say, hey, we got to make a deal. We have to make a deal. But this deal just fell into place. The prime minister did a fantastic job. His representatives are total professionals and they got along well. And it just seemed to work. And I think one of the reasons it did is because we blew up the whole system. If we would have just been dealing with you separately or country by country. We blew up the whole system. It was very fair to very unfair to the United States. And I think because of that, this worked out so nicely. And I'm honored that it was the first deal. Please.
Sir, you mentioned.
Well, why don't you go in the back? Yes.
Oh, thanks, sir. I'm with the London Times. I would say this is a great day for James Bond because now Aston Martins will be available to American buyers. Will it be even better by extending it to film? You've talked about a big tariff on films, and we'd like to know if there'd be relief on British.
Well, we're going to have a discussion on that separately.
And here's the thing. What's wrong with just, I don't know, keeping the movies in America? I never understood what was wrong with that. But then again, I was hearing the breakdown of it, and they were saying that, oh, well, it is way cheaper to hire extras and all this good stuff in other countries. So when they broke it down, they made it make sense. But then I'm just like, okay, so the movie companies are basically the same as the corporations. They're going out to try to find cheaper work and still be able to sell their movies into the U.S. economy for millions upon millions of dollars. Yeah, no. Let's go ahead and put that 100% tariffs on them, and they're going to bring their ass right back here.
And as you know, we're putting tariffs on that particular film, he said, the movie makers. And we're going to be doing some tariffs to get them because a lot of them have left this country. They all live here. The money comes from here. Everything comes from here, but they make them in other countries. So we're going to do something to bring them back, maybe to a large extent. But James Bond has nothing to worry about that, I can tell you. James Bond. And, Sean Connery was a friend of mine. Sean Connery was responsible for my getting zoning in Aberdeen. He said, let the bloody bloke build his golf courses. I was like 4 years into the process, and it was impossible in Aberdeen. And he just stood up one day and he said that. As soon as he said that, I got the approvals in about 2 minutes. So he was a great guy, Sean Connery, and great character.
And guys, let's go ahead and go into this video that actually, well, maybe I'm being petty. But something about Bill Gates being somewhat pissed off about Trump's tariffs, it just brings joy to my heart. I know, right? You're like, damn, said really? I know, but it just does. It just does. But then again, we're talking about the same man that said they need to depopulate in Africa. And, ever since then, I've been looking at this man with the side eye and for other things as well.
With more of my interview with Bill Gates. Let me ask you what you think about the state of the global economy, and particularly the U.S. economy. Ken Rogoff, great Harvard economist who I spent some time talking to, says that to him, the worst thing about U.S. current economic policy is it's all self-inflicted and voluntary, that in the past we made mistakes, but they were during a big crisis, a great recession, or Nixon facing the problem of the dollar not being able to be converted to gold, or even Smoot-Hawley was after the financial crash of 29, after the Great Recession, trying to figure out what to do.
Now, so funny, bro, when people bring up this example of tariffs, I'm like, I mean, you guys prove my point. You prove my point every time with this example. Now, in this example, in 1930s, we were a supplier. Yes, we were a big supplier to the world. Now we're a big buyer. So I know we used to be a seller, but now we buy. But back in the 1930s, we was a buyer. And I've always stated that tariffs mainly hurts the seller. In the 1930s, we were a seller, which means, yes, we did foolishly put tariffs out there and it hurt ourselves. Why? Because we are the sellers. Now in today's times, it's been switched around. We are now the buyers, and now China is the big seller. So when we put these tariffs on, it did the same thing it did in the 1930s, affect the seller.
These tariffs we've just imposed on ourselves, how damaging do you think it is?
Well, the big concern I have is we've created a lot of uncertainty.
Well, then, come on now. The Great Depression was also caused by a money-tight situation. Let's be real.
If you're going to build a new factory, you need to understand the policies
main cause
for the next 20 years, not just the next 2 days or, if you're going to build a new factory, you need to understand the policies for the next 20 years, not just the next 2 days or even 4 years. And so the notion of, okay, what is the structure, particularly in a time of AI where the labor substitution, both white collar and blue collar, is going to start to change the economy. I think it's a bad time to interject so much uncertainty. And, this is not a agreed set of things or a carefully discussed set of things. What's going to happen with pharmaceuticals or electronics? I open the paper every day wondering. So I do worry that uncertainty means that investments don't take place.
How worried are you about the future of the U.S. economy?
I think there's a lot of resilience in the U.S. economy. We've seen even with this uncertainty, the jobs numbers have not been that bad. I'm not an expert on that. I mean, another 1 or 2% of growth. For me, it's about the cutting edge and saying, okay, can the U.S. Stay in the lead? And, I do think being friendly to other countries, so they want to, they don't think we're going to withdraw our technology in some sudden way. That's important. And then, being an exemplar of, briefly, there were gigantic tariffs on.
I mean, here's the problem. Like these countries are still accepting our products. Like China, they still accept our products. Yeah, they drew back that 125% because they need our products to, maintain their infrastructure and their technological infrastructure as well. So yeah, they need us not only to buy, but they also need they also need us to sell to them. It's quite the tragic situation that the Chinese economy is in.
Very poor African countries. And, I don't see what the benefit of that would have been. I'm particularly focused on our role in lifting up those in greatest need, and the potential tariffs would have been particularly bad for these poor countries.
Do you think the tech bans on China are of work, or do they make the Chinese more determined to come up with their own local versions, as with DeepSeek, as with Huawei with the S.E.T chip? I mean, is
the problem is with China is it has a low consumer consumption rate. Their people cannot afford their own products. That's the problem with China. I mean, it has all those people, and very few of them can actually afford to live life. That is a problem with China. I mean, that's just a problem with communist regimes in general.
Are the bans having, in a weird way, the opposite effect?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they have forced the Chinese in terms of chip manufacturing and everything to go full speed ahead. Basically, it's very hard in the world we live in with, open source software and everything. The Chinese are not going to get substantially ahead of us, and we're not going to get substantially ahead of the Chinese. The AI technologies will be available to the world, and people can build on those in their own way. The notion that it was going to be super unique to us, we made clear to them that they needed to make their own chips, and they're making great progress on doing that.
All right, Bill Gates, always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, way to sell out the country that you sell the most into. But okay, we'll see how that works out for you, big dog. Shoot, I'll go from Xbox to PlayStation, and no problem.
Yeah, you're going to Scotland and to yeah, I will be, sure. It's great. We have a lot of investment over there. We have Turnberry, Aberdeen. We have, as you know, in Doonbeg in Ireland, right on the ocean. They're all in the ocean. I only have interest if they're on the ocean. And we have good investments over there. It's been beautiful. Yes.
Mr. President, if the talks go well this weekend between Secretary Bessent and Ambassador Greer with their Chinese counterparts, not preemptively, but if the talks go well, would you then consider lowering the tariff rate on China?
Well, it could be. I mean, we're going to see. Right now, you can't get any higher. It's at 145, so we know it's coming down.
I mean, it can't get any higher. Yeah, if they come to the table, yeah, it will go down if you guys, show that you guys want to have a trade deal, an actual trade deal, and not find a way to, subvert said trade deal like you guys did last time. Like I said, the problem with China is we had to do this to them. We had to do it. We had to tariff the world so they had nowhere to run. Then we had to raise tariffs on them to squeeze their economy so we can get them to a trade deal. Why? Because, I mean, you really can't make China act no other way. To be quite on, what you thought we'd just be able to walk up to China and be like, oh, can you guys please, hand over some manufacturing here? Please stop trying to dominate the U.S. manufacturing. Please, please stop trying to gut the middle class. Please, guys. No, that wasn't going to work. But it was at least you guys were sweet enough to think of it.
as Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer now kick off day 2 of trade discussions with China in Geneva, after President Trump announced his first new trade deal this past week since opposing reciprocal tariffs in April. The terms call for the UK to increase market access for many U.S. products, including U.S. agriculture.
Yep. I mean, yeah, 5 billion new UK market access for US, 700 million ethanol exports to the UK. So yeah, I mean, shout out farmers. I mean, y'all about to come up. I was like literally 5.7 million, $5.7 billion for you guys just alone. Oh yeah, well, including this, $250 million other agricultural exports to the UK, 10% baseline tariffs remains on UK, and reduced tariffs on 100K UK cars to 10%, lift tariffs on UK steel and aluminum. So, you know, they lost, you know, there were some reductions on tariffs,
creating $5 billion in new opportunities for U.S. exporters.
I mean, we're nice people. Come on now. Like, look how we did the UK. We did them nice. Now the rest of y'all just got to come on over.
Percent baseline tariff is still in effect. This is the second major deal President Trump has brokered in the last couple of weeks after inking a rare earth minerals deal with Ukraine just weeks ago.
Yep.
Join me now with more on the president's trade deals.
The Dems forget about that one. They literally kind of just skip past the whole Ukraine rare earth minerals deal because it kind of goes to the fact that, yeah, we pretty much just found a way to replace China for rare earth minerals. I know, right?
Peace deals and tax deals in the Sunday Morning Futures exclusive is National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett. Kevin, thanks so much for being here this morning. I want to begin with these talks in China. Tell us what specifically you would like to see. What would be a victory? What is the best outcome that we can expect between China and the United States?
Well, first of all, as the president said, it looks like there's a tremendous amount of progress being made. I expect that.
I mean, a favorable result for me would be, for them to kneel and stop all the BS trade tactics and then wave an American flag. That's but a man could dream, right? A man could dream. And shout out to our man. Shout out to Steph. Appreciate you, sis. She said this is for the raging American to do a call in. All right, then, man. Hey, man, go ahead and hit the call in link in the post tab.
The president will announce at the end of the trade talks exactly what's happening. But, we've got a whole team over there getting updates during the talks to make sure that everybody in the White House, all the senior leadership, know exactly what's going on and have a chance to interact with everybody over there as well. I could say that what's going to happen in all likelihood is that relationships are going to be rebooted. It looks like the Chinese are very, very eager to play ball and to renormalize things. And so, what exactly goes on and off the table is in the negotiation right now, so I have to be careful giving specifics. But the president has said that we're essentially starting from scratch with the Chinese, and they seem to think that they really want to rebuild a relationship that's great for both of us.
That would be wonderful. So do you think?
I mean, yeah, so they can stop losing hundreds of thousands of jobs by the day and their factories stop closing by the day. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're very eager to make a trade deal.
The president obviously wants to see the Chinese buying more American products because we buy more of their products right now. But will it also have to do with other things like some of the currency manipulation or the spying and the surveillance, of course, fentanyl?
I mean, I'm pretty sure the fentanyl is going to be addressed. I don't even know where they can really address the fentanyl. They can just pass that off to the Chinese triad. Then what can we say to them? We're pretty much gonna be looking at them like Mexico, like, bro, handle your gangsters. But shout out to my man Fox Chase. He said, "Let's go set." Hey, appreciate the support, my man. Hey, and call in line open, man. Make sure you go to the post tab if you want to, share your opinion with the crowd.
And all COVID cover up, any of the other non-tariff barriers.
I think the Chinese have brought their A-team to these negotiations. They've got the competence to cover all the topic areas that you've discussed in the room. And we've got, Scott Bessent and Jamieson, two of the best of the business. And so, we'll see what happens. But I think that everybody is interested in putting enough on the table so that we make a lot of progress this weekend.
Scott Bessent, about a week ago, said he would not be surprised to see a multitude of deals announced this upcoming week. And of course, the president just announced the UK deal last week. Should we be looking at that trade arrangement as something of a blueprint, a precedent of how he's dealing with other countries?
Sure. Yeah, it absolutely is a really exciting blueprint for what we're going to be doing. And Howard Lutnick has briefed me on about 24 deals that he and Jameson have been working on. And they all look a little bit like the UK deal, but each one is bespoke. Each one's a little bit different because different countries have different things that they've been doing wrong to us, different things they care a lot about. And so, for example, there was the UK auto issue where there ended up being a quota, and that was something they really cared a lot about. And by yielding on that, we got a whole lot for American farmers. We opened up the UK for the first time ever for beef farmers, which they really, really love. And so, yeah, it's going to be a little bit different, but the basic idea is everybody wants to have a deal and everybody wants to make a deal soon. And so you're right, you're going to see a lot more deals in the weeks to come, next few weeks.
And as soon as this week?
I would expect so, yeah. I mean, there are a whole bunch of things that are very, very close to the finish line. In the end, the president has to decide he likes the deal or not. There was a great story where I thought the deal was fantastic, and then the president's like, I can make the deal better, and he got an extra $1 billion in agreement of the UK buying our stuff on the phone by calling Starmer. So my guess is that the president's going to make the last phone call for each one because he is the best deal maker in the world, and he's going to add a little bit at the end, I would expect.
You are also trying to do a deal with Congress on getting the president's agenda passed. You've got some balking about raising the debt ceiling. You've got others balking about not enough spending cuts. What can you tell us about those negotiations?
Right. Well, I'm part of the Big Six negotiations along with Scott, and we report regularly back to the president. The president met with Jason Smith, the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, on Friday. I was right there as he was walking in, getting ready for that.
And yeah, shout out and Ways and Means Committee. Yeah, those are the guys who also handle Medicaid.
And we're really, really pleased with the progress. The Ways and Means Committee is going to have a mark probably Tuesday where they put everything on the table. They've got a sketch of a deal right now, and we're highly confident after communicating with Chairman Smith that all of the president's top objectives are going to be in the bill. And then after that, we expect by Memorial Day, it'll pass in the House, and then it'll go on to the Senate and hopefully be there by the 4th of July. And literally everybody thinks that could happen. There's not a lot of disagreement left in either the House or the Senate. And so we're super optimistic that this is going to be probably not only the biggest tax bill ever, but the best designed and the fastest achieved. Think about it. Have you ever seen anything move this fast? It's really astonishing.
Unbelievable. Real quick on where the revenue comes from. The president said that he's willing to raise taxes on the highest earners to pay for the no tax on tips, et cetera. Is that in the plans?
No, it's not in the plan right now, but the president is clear that he's got the objectives that he wants to achieve for the American worker, like no tax on overtime. That no tax on overtime, by the way, it's a huge benefit. We were doing some estimates that for a typical unionized worker might be $100, $200 a week. He's got those things as top priorities in the bill. And then he understands that the House and Senate might have their priorities.
Yeah, for a lot of people, bro. I mean, due to the amount of overtime some people be working, no tax on overtime? Man, bro, that could be an extra couple thousand a month.
And he just said that if he doesn't think they should do it, but if they did it, then he wouldn't veto the bill, is basically.
At least an extra 800, at least.
But he said, but it's probably not going to happen. He literally is putting his priorities first, and those priorities are in both versions of the bill that I've seen.
Okay, Kevin, thank you so much. Great to see you.
And all right, man. Shout out to my man. Now let's go ahead and get Steph up here. Hey, Steph, what's going on?
None, just trying to help the ranging American. Trying to help him out.
All right. Oh, you want me to go ahead and demonstrate it real quick?
I guess he's looking at the screen. I'm hoping he is when you're demonstrating it.
All right, no problem. All right, I'll go ahead and demonstrate it real quick. But all right, let me just go ahead and knock that out for you real quick, guys. All right, let me guys show you how to access the call-in line real quick because it's go ahead and do a little quick tutorial. Boom. All right, you go to the main page here at S.E.T Media Reacts. You go ahead and hit the post tab right over here, and you'll be able to access the call-in line right there. I posted about an hour ago. Boom, right there. I know, right? Easy peasy. If you have supported into this stream or you are a member, you hit this call-in line. I will go ahead and host the call for you guys. All right. Now let's get back to the show.
Here with me now is Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Thank you so much for being here. I very much appreciate it. I want to start with what President Trump said on social media, that there was much agreed to in negotiations on Saturday. What were some of the things that they agreed on in these talks in Switzerland?
Well, first, I just have to wish you a happy Mother's Day. I mean, what a great day to be alive, and I want to wish my wife a happy Mother's Day as well. The team is in Switzerland, meeting with their counterparts from China, and they are hard at it. There's a lot to accomplish. There's both a lot to take care of and get off the table, and they're working hard at it. At the end of the day, they felt good. The president felt good, and I'm going to leave it to them. But it felt good yesterday. The president tweeted that out and truthed that out. But things feel really good.
Well, he said even more than that, as you saw. The president said there was a total reset. So did something fundamentally change, or is he sort of saying that to try to encourage the talks to continue?
Well, I'm leaving it to the trade team. You know, they're there right now. They're in the room right now. So I'm just going to leave it to them to take care of that themselves. And but they felt good yesterday, and that was really uplifting. I mean, what a day yesterday. I mean, ceasefire in India and Pakistan. I mean, how wonderful is that? Think of the lives.
But I mean, yeah, we thought there was going to be a ceasefire in Pakistan, but what I've heard is I believe that India accused Pakistan of breaking said ceasefire, so they're right back at it again. And you know what's crazy about this? I do believe that China has a hand in this, just coincidentally. But we'll get into that later on. But let's go to what's this called? The prime premier of trade talks of trade advisory in China. He did have a couple words to say.
The two sides held in-depth exchanges on trade and economic issues of their respective concern. The atmosphere of the meeting was candid, in-depth, and constructive. The meeting achieved substantial progress and reached important consensus.
I'm happy to report that we made substantial.
And that's an OG communist member, a CCP party member, an OG CCP member.
Progress between the United States and China in these very important trade talks. We will be giving details tomorrow, but I can tell you that the talks were productive.
Stephen Engel, our chief North Asia correspondent, is here with us, both sides exuding positivity, lack of details, but I think that's a good starting point.
Yeah, so I'm a stickler for details, so I'm waiting for that. And perhaps we're going to get that later. I would assume from Washington, D.C., Donald Trump would likely announce the various levels of significant progress. Yep. Both sides used that terminology. But what really stood out to me was when He Lifeng said not only significant progress, but he also said they reached important consensus. On what is the big question? Where did they find common ground in what has been a very fractious relationship, no doubt? Is it on fentanyl? Is it on rare earths exports? Is it on the level of tariffs that would be acceptable to both? We don't know, and maybe I'm getting the cart in front of the horse here. But it is good that they didn't have a first day of talks like they did in 2021 with the Biden administration meeting across the table in the Captain Hook Hotel in Anchorage, where essentially they aired grievances. And I'm sure they did. There was an airing of grievances in Switzerland as well, but the neutral ground helps as well.
I'm pretty sure there's an area of grievances. They're going like, bro, these tariffs, like we lost like hella jobs. We got people protesting in the streets. We're already in economic turmoil. And then with these tariffs, it made it worse. Trust me, the Chinese people definitely got grievances, and I believe they do think we did it on purpose. But hey, it is what it is. All right, let's see here. Oh yeah, hey man, Cape, Raging American. Let me know when you're ready. Oh, no problem. I got you, big dog. And what is going on? Yo.
Oh.
Everything all right, man?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just walking down the stairs. Don't want to wake up my parents.
Oh no, you good, you good. But all right, man. So, you have any comments on what's going on?
Oh yeah, I guess it's a little bit off topic. I'm agreeing with everything that you're saying. To be honest with you, I feel like a lot of people are misinformed about tariffs and shit like that. Like they just think, oh, it's bad because it hurts other people. No, it's helping us, and it's like, why don't we help ourselves? But the one question I wanted to ask you, and this is something that not a lot of people are talking about, but I think it needs to be addressed, is I think that if someone wants to be transgender, then it has to be on their license that says they're transgender, so people aren't fucked over. Because I know people in my life that got fucked over by shit like that. And
Man, bro,
I feel
if you've ever been to Atlanta, G, it is very scary over there. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I live in New England, so it's only votes blue all the time. Like there's not one election where it does not vote blue. So I live around people who, they vote the same way every fucking single time. So I just think maybe to make people feel more comfortable because it'll target people. So I know my buddies that's happened to before. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? What do you think?
My thoughts on
I
that is
agree.
that yeah, I agree, and that the community, well, honestly, the community just needs to practice transparency on that matter altogether. It's actually crazy how there are trans influencers who are literally saying, "Oh, well, we shouldn't have to disclose it. They don't even know." But I mean, they would like to know, so maybe y'all should disclose that. And I'm pretty sure there's a consensus of men that'd be like, "Yes, I would like to know if you were a man at once, please and thank you." Now, because I'm be honest with you, like, bro, and the reason why I say this is if you ever went to Atlanta, I mean, I don't know who they doctor is, but man, they need to take that man to jail because he's doing too good of a job. Doing too good of a job.
Yeah, I mean
But
the pills and the drugs that they're giving them. I mean, man, it's pretty messed up. Like imagine like your kid like getting that
yeah,
shit. It's
yeah, I
pretty
know.
fucked
I
up.
mean, it's like think about it like this, bro. We used to fear having a gay son, now we got to fear having a trans son. Like they done
What's the
switched it
fucking
up on
difference,
us.
honestly?
It's like at this point, bro, they may having a gay son just the most preferable thing ever. Like, you know what? It don't even sound that bad no more.
Honestly, I probably would rather have a gay son than a fucking trans son. So,
Yep. To be
all
quiet,
right,
yeah, I share that sentiment, my friend. I share that.
all right, all right. Well, I guess I have another question. So, I feel like a lot of the media, like, they discredit like African Americans, like being like having a different opinion. Like, how do you
Mhm.
feel about that? Like, I feel like you're different. So, like, what
Well,
kind of made you like
Mhm.
think differently? Like, what was the influence? Where did it come from? Was it someone that you knew? Was it someone that you saw on TV? Like,
well, first it started off with like Trump and his first term. And then after that, I kind of noticed, well, the complete ridicule of this man. This man could never do anything right. And it just got a bit like, well, over the top. Like when things get a bit over the top, like you kind of sit there and be like, all right, okay, I get it. I was hearing you guys at first, but now you guys are doing it to the point where it's a bit suspicious. Looked into some of the stuff, found out that most of it was a lie. Well, all of it was a lie, especially the racist claims against him. And then I just start going down this little rabbit hole about the Democratic Party. And then I start honestly hearing out some of the representatives and how they kind of want immigrants to take over the cities. I hear a lot of black liberals and how they kind of instigate these guys to go against the conservative white man, but then not realize how the liberal white man's been pulling their emotional strings all their life. So and the one key thing, the complete walk away from masculinity, the complete walk away from that
yeah,
also.
they lost the general kind of like the guy, like they just
Yeah.
lost that. They went too far in the other direction. They lost like a huge portion of voters in this country.
Oh yeah, bro. It became a uniform at a certain point. Like I said, I always call them like, all right, the uniform for the Dems is either they're fat or scrawny, and it turned into the literal uniform.
Yeah, dude, my dad, I mean, he's a boomer. My dad's pretty old. And he, was a Democrat all his life. And he made fun of me back in 2016. Or no, I was in 7th grade, 2014, 2015, when I was like, I like Trump. And he made fun of me for it. And now he's a full-fledged Trump supporter.
Yeah, trust me, you have to see it.
Set,
And I
am I
think
in
you're
here or no?
Yeah, oh yeah, you're in here, Fox, of course. What's going on?
Hey, Fox.
Am I in the chat?
Yeah,
no?
yeah.
Hey, Fox, with your sexy voice, Fox, like the other day.
What's up? What's up, beautiful?
Man, what else? Hey, yo, Fox, you got any thoughts on what's going on?
Yeah, so hold on. Let me hear the whole topic because I jumped in late. What was the topic of your discussion?
Kate, I believe. Dang, what were we just talking
About transgenders. That
Yes, there's a lot of
okay,
things
that was
there.
the first topic. Yeah, how
Yeah.
transgender should be,
It should
pretty
be
much
on
under
like a license.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. You know what? I'm not even going to step into that one, but I'm going to bring up a new topic, which
Gotcha.
everybody knows about. Trump put out a tweet tonight, right? with
Oh
the
yeah, about dropping
prescription?
prescription prices.
Yeah, did you guys already talk about that or no?
I was just about to get to it.
I
You know
saw that. I
what?
saw that.
I'll save that for you then. I'll save that for you. Other than that, like as far as transgenders, I mean, you know what? I think everybody here's the problem. America, we started out with don't ask, don't tell. Live and let live. That's how we used to live. But now it changed from not live and let live. Now it's you're gonna live the way we live. You know, you're gonna
That's
see
true,
our
folks.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, no.
that is how we used to live. We did used to mind our own fucking business. But at a certain point, there's a party out there that forces us to. What was it? When Indiana said men can marry men, it was a big deal.
Yeah,
That
I
was
mean,
like, yeah, they fought for that. We gave it to you. Now you get insurances.
yeah.
But
I
what
mean, here's the
happened?
thing: the
They
Dems used to
don't
be
stop.
against
You
it.
give them an inch, they take a fucking 1,000 miles.
Mm-hmm.
Now look where we're at. Literally from
We're
that
fucked.
day, from arguing about a cake factory, just saying no, we're not going to make your gay cake. That fight. I mean,
Oh,
that's
I
literally
remember
where we're
that.
at now.
I remember that.
Now we're fighting for illegals that are criminals. Besides coming here across our border, we're gonna fight for that. Like it doesn't end with them. We know they're corrupt. We know they're all criminal. If you're in
Well,
the fucking Democratic Party, you support criminal activity.
especially with
That's
the
just
end of that. What was it? The New Jersey, what was it? New Jersey mayor who was trying to
Yeah.
rush the ICE state, bro, trying to rush an ICE facility. And here's the thing: I was just like, can you imagine if these dumbasses were successful? I was like, oh yeah,
Bro, I
please thank
literally
you for letting
live
out gang members and
25 minutes
rapists
away
on the
from that.
street.
exactly.
It's crazy.
Exactly.
I live 25 minutes away from that, and I saw that, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Jesus.
You guys are gonna let these guys out on the street?
But he was only arrested only for a tiny bit, though.
He is literally doing what the Democrat Party. This is how the Democrat Party works. This is how they have a corruption. The followers. What they do is they tell, we're fighting for the middleman. We're fighting for you. But these goddamn Republicans keep voting against us. And we didn't get your prescriptions lowered. It's them. It's not us. Right? This is what they do. Because they don't really do what they say they're do. What's Trump going to do tomorrow? Executive order. We all know it doesn't last until his term is over. But
We can hope JD
Biden
wins.
didn't do it. Obama didn't do it. They didn't give nobody nothing. They literally say they're going to do something and blame it on us. The reason they're not doing it, but they're corrupting all these NGOs.
That's exactly what they did with the border
It's all a
bill.
fucking bullshit scam.
Bro, I just graduated from college. How do you think I felt like sitting in lectures, being lectured upon about
Hey,
certain things?
congratulations,
I was taking thank you.
Congratulations.
But I literally was in a class. I'll never forget it. I complained about her. I sent in something about her because it was ridiculous. I was in a business class being taught about transgenderism. Okay?
Right.
I'm not even capping. I'm not even like trying to like inflate it. Like,
yeah, no. We know
believe
what's
it.
going on.
It's worse than you think.
Right.
Now, like with the CHIPS Acts, like the only way these guys were able to get the money from Biden, which was taxpayer money to fund billionaires, was to accept DEI policies. So I could see that. Like they're mixing DEI in business just to get funding.
That's right. And you know what DEI is doing? It's making a certain demographic seem they're a little bit they're seeing the privilege. And the problem is the privilege would be fine, but they are abusing the privilege because they're saying we fucking owed it. We fuck it. That's the problem. They're not taking that privilege of a DEI when it was in power. They weren't taking it and using it. They were taking it and throwing it in other people's demographics' face.
Actually, I do have something to say about I guess I would say the new gays, right?
Okay.
It's like the new gays and the new trans, they take up the plight of what was happening to back in the day. So when they say, oh, well, there was days that we couldn't do this and that. Well, you guys aren't those people no more. You guys are the most freest group of gays in the entire world.
Yeah, if they went to Gaza, they would literally be thrown off a building.
Exactly.
But they support them. It doesn't make sense.
Bro, even in some Hispanic countries, they don't even, Latin countries, they don't play that. So they're already in the best place ever. I'll give it to them, due to what some of their predecessors went through. But they got to remember this. You already have it good right here. Then with the trans, I mean, they're trying to, trans people were discriminated the whole time. I mean, that used to be a mental disorder.
Yeah, 1%.
What's a break on that? Like, it's not like we hate these guys. It's just that we're like, yo, you guys gotta pump the brakes on this. Well, we just need to accept you guys in every aspect.
Hey, Set, it's literally Democrat in their media created. We never went hard at them. But they pulled out maybe one story out of a fucking 300 million people and said, he might have said something rudely. Or they pulled out 1% video of a truck burning out on the rainbow fucking stripes on a highway. And they spread it all across, and that's America. Yeah. They are the worst fucking people, and they corrupt their fucking constituents.
It's all fake discrimination if you hate on somebody else's shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But hold on, guys. I do want to play this quick little 2-minute video, and I want y'all thoughts on it. All right, guys, let's get right into it.
I bet.
And we're back with a Fox News alert. President Trump just announcing on Truth Social that prescription drug and pharmaceutical prices will be reduced by 30 to 80% almost immediately. This appears to be the major announcement that the president has been teasing for days. He plans to sign an executive order tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. So that's news ahead of all the other news that we've already been talking about for tomorrow. Monday is going to be a busy day. The president's saying on Truth, Molly, I will be instituting a most favored nation policy whereby the United States will pay the same price as the nation that pays the lowest price anywhere in the world. It's an interesting move for the White House.
It is. And that is kind of about trade. At the same time, he's also been talking about expanding the ability to make drugs here, making that easier for companies to be able to do that, and companies to build, and drug companies to build, and factories to build, and to bring some of that home as well. And then also, not to forget, we're expecting some sort of announcement related to China. I don't know if that gets woven into this or not, Lydia, but your thoughts.
I was thinking the same thing, because a lot of our active ingredients for our pharmaceutical drugs come from places like China and from India as well. So I was wondering, I had the same thought. I wonder if some of this China deal is also addressing where our pharmaceutical ingredients are coming from and having to do something to do with, reshoring or giving us better access and more transparent access to those critically needed ingredients. I also have another thought too, is I wonder if
all right, now I'm gonna go ahead and pause it here. Now, I do want to hear some of y'all thoughts on it.
I got something to say if nobody else does, right yet?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, Set. This is what's mind-blowing to me. People that are on the opposite party, Trump is doing exactly what he was voted to do. He is changing our market. He's changing what we were all worth. Now, hold still. Now, he has a separate department, which is the FBI and the DEA or DEA, and then FTA. He put the IRS with them, the ones that Biden hired to go against every taxpayer. He took those agents and put them with the FBI, right? Yeah. And you know what they're doing? My point is, they are getting rid of criminals. They're getting rid of people. And then what is he doing? You have to separate it. Everybody wants to combine it, that Trump's that FBI agent arresting an illegal. No, what Trump is doing is exactly what a president's supposed to do. He's making deals. He's making tariffs because he's forcing them to be equal. He's letting his separate government go after what we as Americans are seeing is crime. All right. Am I out in space here on this?
No, you're exactly right. Now, I do have like one thought on this prescription, and it's going to irritate me if I'm right about this. I believe the Dems is not going to give this man any credit, just like what you're talking about, how he's low-key trying to honestly protect American safety, protect Americans' economic security, and now he's trying to protect American health, and they still won't give him the credit.
Yeah.
I wonder what they honestly have to say about this.
I know. I don't get it. I really don't get it.
You know what?
I feel like you're just want to be a criminal mentality if you're there.
Well, what about Big Pharma? What about the stockholders at Big Pharma? Do you think they're gonna like this? And once again, I thought you hated the rich.
He just shut them down. That's what the Democrats said they're gonna do. Never did. What's he gonna do tomorrow?
We've had onslaught of fucking Pfizer commercials for the last 4 years, bro. Like,
this is the only president, and he's making sure. And he always said, "I'm gonna win by my my success." That's what he said. By my success,
they forced me to go to college.
Redemption at what they did to me. And
David,
they have
Biden,
to open their eyes to what he is really about. No president has ever done the fucking EOs that he is ordering. We know Congress, if they don't change it, we know we're one election away from being fucked.
Man.
But he is making sure it happens on his 4 fucking years.
Yeah, man. Shout out. All right, anybody else got any thoughts?
No, here's the thing, dude. Like, exactly, man. Like, you look at all these people, like, they're not helping us. They're helping the fucking corporations, bro. It's plain as day, because like they're telling us they're doing that, but that's a campaign fucking strategy, bro. They're telling us that they're gonna do all this shit to get elected, right? And then when it comes to fucking doing the due diligence,
they shit on him. They shit on him.
Yeah,
and they tell them it's the Republicans.
It takes time, and then like fucking 20 years, 30 years goes by, and you're like, what the fuck have you guys really done? You know, and like we've been paying all you guys.
Exactly right, Bean.
I'll tell you, they lined their pockets.
They're still campaigning on the same shit, and now it's come to the point where we've realized that they keep saying the same shit, and they're not doing it, because guess what?
Guys, Trump is showing every American, if you open your eyes, Trump is showing you how easy it was for them to do. It's an EO away.
When the profit margin is just as much as the fucking costs of production in these corporations, like, and they're the ones backing the Democrats. Like, what the fuck? Oh, come on, guys, come on.
Like, I have one thing to say about like the healthcare and shit like that. So, I told you, like I said earlier, I graduated from college not too long ago.
All right.
One thing that pissed me off so much is the fact that they forced me. My college forced me to take the vaccine so I could go to school. Imagine that. So I didn't have a fucking choice.
Is that dictatorship or what?
That's wrong.
Yeah, that's what it did to the military members.
How do you think it fucking felt for me? I didn't.
It's
I
wrong,
literally
bro.
told my parents I don't want that. I'm not doing it.
And you call Trump a dictator. You know, you call Trump a dictator. Come on, let's
They
go.
put so many lives at risk.
Yeah,
now, let's not.
I know. One of
let's
my
not
buddies.
go too far into that. Let's not go too far into the vaccine. You feel me?
But you know what I'm saying? Like,
the mandate was like it
That's
was
ridiculous,
very dictator-like. I will say that.
But I do want to say to Raging American, I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I never wanted it, but you know what? I had to.
Dude,
I don't know.
There's a difference between like recommending something and mandating it. You know what I mean? That's the difference between fucking freedom and dictatorship.
Hey, Seth, let me ask you a question. What's the hot topic right now? Like, what do we all need to talk about right now?
Kilmar, dude.
Actually, the Supreme Court. Well, the Supreme Court ruling, which I'm pretty sure they're going to try to hide.
I'm not being
that Trump can continue using the Aliens Enemies Act to deport these Venezuelans. So the flights have now been unpaused.
You know what? You know what the real talk should be.
So you're saying Supreme Court ordered in Trump's favor?
Yep.
Right. So now what? Now what's the hill? What hill are they going to die on?
Due process.
Well, the cancer child, dude. The cancer child being deported with her mom that she accepted.
So we're clear that they're going to die on the hill for illegals. Let's
never
not even
gonna die on
mind
the
their
hill.
criminals. They're gonna die in the hell for illegals.
Not every illegal is a
And what
criminal,
have
but
they ever
yeah,
shown their
actually they
own
are.
fucking constituents? Ever.
You know what hill they should be dying on? The hill of like, hey, let's try and like reform this fucking process of immigration. Because I just talked to somebody today. The only what countries are not being able to immigrate is people from Mexico, but South America is getting all the fucking priority. Like they'll
Trump,
help
hey,
anybody from
you know
South
what?
America.
Let me tell y'all something, because this whole Kilmar Garcia
Go
stuff,
ahead.
this was literally a trap set by the conservatives, and let me tell you why. Because it was a checkmate on all points. You're telling me that they got you guys to run after this guy, Kilmar Garcia. All the evidence is against this man. That yes, he came in here illegally. Yes, he was asked to be left. He was asked to be deported. Yes, he's committed crimes. All that good stuff. And the checkmate of this is that he's in El Salvador already. We have no jurisdiction over that man. None.
This guy's irrelevant now at this point.
Exactly. And well, due to the fact that the court's ruling in their favor, I mean, hold on. And here's the relevance of the court. Oh, hold on, bro. But here's the relevance of the court ruling in Trump's favor. That means deportation of Kilmar Garcia stands because he is an MS-13 gang member.
So
yeah.
Well, they tried to fucking praise him as a Maryland man until they fucking the real facts came out. And then they try to cover him. They try to fucking paint him as something good, even though he was a fucking. And they try to,
You know what? And I'll be honest. You know what? I'm going to be honest. This is no disrespect to you, but us keeping this topic makes it a fucking number one view.
Soon as they couldn't win that argument,
it's a non-issue, and we keep giving fire to it.
I'll give you that one. I don't even want to talk about Albrega Garcia, to be honest. I just wish they'd get past it and be like, dog, there's other things there's other topics that these guys could honestly win on that they're completely ignoring.
Yeah. There's bigger issues to fucking care about, and they're just focusing on one thing that's like they're moving on. And like, dude, like there's way more important issues that we can be talking about than fucking Kilmar Garcia.
That's what it is. It's smoke and mirrors to keep away from what Trump is doing.
100%. And that's the thing. It's like, okay, you got one guy, right? Like it's like not like they came with a list of people that got fucking deported. Like they have a list, but they're not bringing out a list of people. They're focusing on one person. Like, what does that tell you? They're trying to focus on the fact that he didn't get his due process. The due process. How many times have you heard due process in the last 2 months? Like fucking 1,000 times. Because they're like, okay, it's about the fact that they're like, he didn't get due process. Really, that's what the biggest thing is.
That's true. All right, so Seth, we're gonna hand that back to you. Whatever you want to do, man.
Yeah. All right, then we're gonna go ahead and keep it rolling. Let me know what y'all think. I'll go ahead and cue y'all in.
He's addressing the pharmacy benefit managers. We've heard a lot about them in the news, but those are kind of like the intermediary players that broker access to drugs between hospitals and pharmacies from the drug makers. There have been a lot of questions about their role and how pricing is set for access for Americans. Maybe he's addressing that. That's been a big issue as well. So we'll have to wait and see till tomorrow.
Listen, I think the most important thing in the drug world is the generic drugs, getting generic versions of drugs out to the market as quickly as possible. I don't understand the crazy drug pricing. It doesn't make any sense to me. Sometimes I'm not taking any drugs right now. I have no prescriptions, but anytime that I've gone over prescriptions with my doctor, they say, well, there's this thing. And then you look at the cost and you say, that is a crazy price of a drug. And then there's some other drug that you might need. And it's like, 11 cents. And I don't understand how it's done. It's all very Byzantine. I think most people get confused by this kind of thing. Hopefully, the good news from Trump is just that, good news.
All right, well, we'll see what happens tomorrow. It's going to be a busy Monday in Trump world.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here.
All right, now let's get over to the next video here, because I do want to get into this habeas corpus that Stephen Miller was going off about.
Over the White House once again as President Trump's top policy advisor, saying that the administration looking for ways to expand its legal power to deport people who are in the U.S. illegally. Outside the White House Friday, Stephen Miller said the Trump administration is, quote, actively looking at suspending habeas corpus, the constitutional right for people to legally challenge their detention by the government. Miller.
Hey, yo. Yo. Man, so pretty much we're saying, yeah, as soon as we decide you are an illegal and we know you came over here, we have all the proof in the world, we're not going to just let you sit there and deny it and just be like, nope, not at all. I like it. I like it.
They're telling reporters, quote, the Constitution is clear, and that, of course, is the supreme law of the land, that the privilege of habeas corpus can be suspended in a time of invasion. He added, quote, I would say that's an option we are actively looking at.
What?
We do have those comments here into our newsroom from Stephen Miller, so let's lift up the audio and listen in.
This guy's a G.
But since you all are graciously gathered here, I'll take a few questions. And I think you also just had like an hour with Caroline, so I don't want to step on that too much either.
Mr. Miller,
hold on, there's a question back there first.
Pundit, I have two quick questions. First, President Trump has talked about potentially suspending habeas corpus to take care of the illegal immigration problem. When could we see that happen, do you think?
Well, the Constitution is clear, and that, of course, is the supreme law of the land, that the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus can be suspended in a time of invasion. So I would say that's an option we're actively looking at. Look, a lot of it depends on whether the courts do the right thing or not. At the end of the day, Congress passed a body of law known as the Immigration and Nationality Act, which stripped Article 3 courts, that's the judicial branch of jurisdiction over immigration cases. So Congress actually passed, it's called jurisdiction stripping legislation. It passed a number of laws that say that the Article 3 courts aren't even allowed to be involved in immigration cases. Many of you probably don't know this. I'll give you a good example. Are you familiar with the term temporary protected status, or TPS, right?
Yep,
so by statute, the courts are stripped of jurisdiction from overruling a presidential determination or a secretarial determination on TPS when the Secretary of Homeland Security makes that determination. So when Secretary Noem terminated TPS for the illegals that Biden flew into the country, when courts stepped in, they were violating explicit language that Congress had enacted, saying they have no jurisdiction. So it's not just the courts aren't just at war with the executive branch. The courts are at war, these radical rogue judges, with the legislative branch as well, too. So all of that will inform the choices the president ultimately makes, yes.
Mr. Miller, to further incentivize deportation of illegal aliens, is the administration considering going after businesses that knowingly employ illegal aliens?
Well, they already have. Worksite enforcement, I don't have the exact statistics.
I mean, no, they already have. Trust me. We already got a couple of Mexican restaurants that closed down. Now, what are your guys' thoughts so far?
I think it needs to be done. It's about time. It's unfortunate reality that our predecessors put us in, and yeah, it's messed up, but man, sometimes it has to be done.
Yeah, I feel it. I feel the same way. I'm like, yeah, this kind of, it has to go down. Pretty much. And like I said, we're kind of using Biden's bill against them in a way. I'm like, oh, well, Biden's bill kind of subverted the whole process of bringing them in. So yeah, why not? Well, we'll just cut their rights to get a hearing.
Why do you think Biden let all those people in?
Oh, now people want to deny the great replacement theory, but I really do think it was to get a whole bunch of people loyal to the Democratic Party to pretty much overthrow a lot of these red counties and, pretty much get honestly, I would say this, put the electoral vote forever in the Democrats' favor.
Yep.
And they was going to get it off. I mean, if we just let it happen. And that's why he went to all the sanctuary cities. And the real operation was they were supposed to spread out from the sanctuary cities and make it into the side, the red counties and all that good stuff. But that never really happened. And thank God it didn't, because it would have happened under Kamala Harris. Like, trust me, it is like blue would have stayed blue forever and red would have just turned either purple or just straight blue.
I think that's cheating. I mean, they think Trump cheats and everything, but like, that's the biggest, that's why I'll never vote the Democrat Party, for the fact that they were trying to import voters. And
instead of trying to win over the people. But you got to understand, like I said, and it makes sense why they were speaking so much for illegals, because I mean, that's your voting base. That's a new voting base you guys are preaching to.
Because they get all the privileges and don't have to worry about anything, and it screws over just the regular guy, regular woman.
I mean, the regular guy, honestly, because like I said, I was trying to make the point. Well, I made the point that, these guys take jobs away from American people. And the Liz weren't trying to hear it, but I had to stamp down on the point. I'm like, bro, these guys literally will go into these everywhere from like retail, factory work. I mean, like these, I would say low income jobs, low to mid income jobs, and they would dominate in there. Why? Because these jobs are hiring them for less than they'd have to pay for, an American. And they did it through temp agencies or paying them under the table, all that crazy stuff.
Actually, I heard a really cool side of this thing today about somebody that actually is more involved than most of you guys are. That they let people like cross. Then they get paid it's a whole money scam. People get paid to bring people across, and then those people get deported or whatever, and then those people have to get crossed again. It's like a whole. It's all about the money, bro. Like it's a whole scheme. That's why the CIA and everybody's like they're running guns across the border to these people. Like it's all for money, bro. They're never gonna. That's why they want an open border, because they were making a bunch of money by crossing shit. Like that's the only thing that really makes sense why they had open borders. Like it was for profit of smuggling and trafficking of whatever the fuck they want.
Man, all right, agreed. All right, let's get right back to it.
But it's at multiple hundreds of percent. So the increase in worksite enforcement has been dramatic, it's been immediate, and that will continue.
Why is President Trump moving to dismiss 3 Democratic members of the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, I think Caroline answered this question at the briefing today. The president is the head of the executive branch, and it's the president's prerogative to ensure that all executive branch employees are the best, the brightest, the most committed to fulfilling the agenda that they have, whether it be in their agency or any post in government.
Is the president going to replace them?
Well, again, we'll take a look at the situation, but the important thing is, I'll take a look at the specifics that you're talking about here, but the important thing to understand is that we don't just let people stay in their jobs just because they were always there, right? We have to examine the performance of specific employees, whether they're doing the best that they can do. I know that in particular, as a parent, there's been lots of concerns that I've had, that my family's had about product safety in this country. We can absolutely do better, and we will do better, but that requires hiring the best people for the job. And President Trump will always hire the best people for the job. Yes.
When we talk to the president's voters, they bring up a couple of issues. One, it's been 3 months, and they still haven't gotten down to the 2020 election. They're concerned about the whole voting situation, and they also want to know about what happened to the assassination attempt.
Those are all great questions. So
they're really concerned.
Those are all great questions. The Department of Justice, of course, is working on all 3 of the things that you just mentioned, and hopefully we'll have a further update soon. I can tell you on election integrity that the president recently signed an executive order that was the most comprehensive election integrity order that was ever issued. And as you may recall, that included in it a requirement to verify citizenship to vote. Another example where a district court judge lawlessly intervened, enjoined that requirement. Now, think about this. Congress passed a law, making it a crime, a felony for non-citizens to vote. And yet a judge has enjoined the executive branch from enforcing and upholding that statutory requirement. So the courts, the radical rogue judges, they don't care what Congress said.
And shout out to my man Fox. He says, I'm sorry, bro. I just can't stand the left. Hey, trust me, bro. I feel you.
They don't care about what the Constitution says. They're just imposing their own Marxist agenda on the whole country. And that's obviously.
They want to follow up on January 6th.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Department of Justice is investigating all of the issues that you mentioned. I wish I had a full update for you now, but I can assure you that our Attorney General, our Deputy Attorney General, our FBI Director, now Ed Martin, at the Weaponization Working Group will all be, and of course we put up a new DC attorney, will all be diligently working on ensuring accountability and justice. Yes, back there.
Question. Tom Homan used some colorful language earlier this year to describe how he would be demanding accountability from New York City Mayor Eric Adams if he didn't cooperate with ICE. Is Eric Adams holding up his end of the bargain thus far?
All I would say to that is this administration is going to pursue immigration enforcement and cooperation in every city. And anyone who doesn't comply with the laws and dictates of this country will face the appropriate legal consequences. That applies to Eric Adams, and that applies to every other mayor in this country. The law is the law is the law. And if obstruction, if hindering, if harboring occurs, then the full range of potential penalties applies to any federal official, any state official or local official that's engaging in obstructionist behavior. But I would also say that when it comes to immigration enforcement, now that we have achieved the mission of sealing the border, you're going to see more and more resources and priorities put into the mass deportation program. And so on a day-to-day basis, you're going to see exponentially larger numbers of illegal aliens being arrested and removed from the interior.
Can you share
Yes.
with us, thank you. So can you share with us where the illegal immigrants that will be deported to Angola, Rwanda, those African nations are, which condition they are, and when are you guys planning to send them back to Africa?
Well, we get illegal aliens, or we did get illegal aliens during the Biden administration from 150 countries. So ICE sends planes to every country in the world. We send planes to Iraq, we send planes to Yemen, we send planes to Haiti, we send planes to Angola. I mean, ICE is sending planes all over the world all the time. Anyone who came here illegally, we're finding them and we're getting them out. Any other questions? Yes, back there. Yes.
And they just do not like that. As a parent. But all right, guys, let's get on.
Apparently that's racist.
Yeah, apparently it is racist to want these guys up out of here. They think that, oh, it's racist because, and here's the thing, I don't understand how it's racist. I remember they tried to pull, oh, Trump want all the Mexicans out of here. And even I saw through that as a liberal. I'm just like, hold on, man. It's not racist to pretty much say that we want illegals out of here and they just happen to be his Mexicans. Like, what can you do?
You can be from Nigeria. You can be from China. You can be an illegal from anywhere. It just happens that our border's on Mexico. So there's probably statistically going to be more Latino and Hispanic people
coming from there. And also seeing that, you know, their government is under cartel rules. So I get it. But come on now. Y'all just can't walk over here and just start waving the Mexican flag. I would ask y'all to go back to your country and take out the cartel.
If you look at that much, man. Like,
yeah. Apparently, I'm asking too much when I say that.
Come on, Seth. You know as much as I do, the Democratic Party likes to play the left card because they love to say the word. Well, I don't like to say the word, but they like to say the word that starts with a K.
Okay, I get where you're going. But I do want to get into some classic CNN hating because you know how CNN is. But they are going to go ahead and report about the deals with trade talks with China, but you know, in a very adversarial way. Oh, let's see what position they take because I didn't even get to watch this yet.
Just moments ago, a second day of high-level trade talks between the U.S. and China wrapped up in Switzerland. The president's top trade negotiators emerged from the meeting in Geneva, touting, quote, substantial progress and appearing to confirm that a deal between the two countries has been reached.
I'm happy to report that we made substantial progress between the United States and China in the very important trade talks. First, I want to thank our Swiss host. The Swiss government has been very kind in providing us this wonderful venue. And I think that led to a great deal of the productivity we've seen. We will be giving details tomorrow, but I can tell you that the talks were productive. We had the vice premier, two vice ministers who were integrally involved, Ambassador Jameson and myself. And I spoke to President Trump, as did Ambassador Jameson last night. And he is fully informed of what is going on. So there will be a complete briefing tomorrow morning. I'll turn it over to the ambassador.
Man, okay, a complete briefing. Yeah, that kind of sounds like there were some concessions made. There was, and I'm pretty sure Trump knows about whatever concessions were made or whatever these guys are agreeing to and whatever we're agreeing to. So by tomorrow, not only are we going to hear about this executive order to lower prescription prices, but we're going to hear the details of what was discussed in this meeting, which should be good, man. Should be good. I don't know what y'all guys think.
I ain't giving the money to Pfizer.
Yeah, dude. That's the thing, dude.
But yeah, what's the thing?
Yeah, dude. Grow your own vegetables, bro. Grow your own vegetables. Don't rely on fucking fast food and processed fucking bullshit in the fucking. Grow your own shit, man. You don't have to rely on the fucking hospitals and the pharmacies for fucking giving you.
Hold on.
Oh yeah, man. I helped my dad grow some vegetables in my backyard. Got squash, tomatoes, everything like that. So I respect that.
But all right, let's get back on topic, guys. Shoot. But all right. So what do you guys think about these trade deals, and what are you guys hoping to hear from these concessions from China? Because mainly I'm trying to hear the concessions of stealing of intellectual property, because I mean they're making like 600 billion off that a year. And I mainly wanted them to stop. Well, here's the thing. The problem with China opening up their market is that that's going to expose China for what's really going on. That how they're due to the way the CCP rules, they have a low consumption rate. So I don't really know what opening the Chinese market is going to do for us. And a lot of people think that the Chinese can depend on their own, domestic product or domestic consumption. But no, they can't. I mean, a lot of people don't understand that. Yes, it is the second biggest economy in the world, but it probably has like one of the lowest consumer consumption rates at 38%. And we know the US, of course, we're at like 67.
Yeah, people from China, obviously, they live under a regime where they're screwed. But like at the same time, there's over like 1 billion people there, so like maybe their consumption rate isn't as much, but there's still 1 billion people there. So I'm not saying we should just try to work with them as much as we can. I'm just saying there's a lot of money that could be made there. That's just my thought.
I believe in it too. The problem is their whole economic structure would have to change. Like they cannot keep going like this, because what are we really buying into at that point? Like I said, like once we kind of open up the hood and we're just looking at, they're going like, hold on, you guys have no money. The only guys that can be able to buy anything is the guys in the CCP. So like, what's going on here? Like there got to be some type of bro. People complain about the wealth disparity here in China.
They have no clue.
None
They have
at
no
all.
clue.
Like they would literally be appalled, and they would literally see what's going on and be like, yeah, I mean, if they open up their markets, everything would be exposed. All these products will flood in, and there would really be no sales. And then we got things tariffed on China, so things would get shut down around regardless. Honestly, there's only one way I see China kind of like not heading into an economic collapse. And that would be to honestly change their economic policy completely, and they got to throw some wealth down, like all the way down. But hey, that's just my opinion on the matter.
Thank you, Secretary. I want to echo the Secretary's remarks with respect to the Swiss government. They've been so welcoming, and they've hosted this, and everything has gone off flawlessly, and we appreciate that. And again, to the Chinese negotiators, Vice Premier Liu He, Vice Minister Li Qiangang, and Vice Minister Liao Min, worked very diligently, and these are very tough negotiators. A couple of them I know from before, and have had past interactions with them. And this was, as the Secretary pointed out, a very constructive 2 days. It's important to understand how quickly we were able to come to agreement, which reflects that perhaps the differences were not so large as maybe thought. That being said, there was a lot of groundwork that went into these 2 days. Just remember why we're here in the first place. The United States has a massive $1.2 trillion trade deficit. So the president declared a national emergency and imposed tariffs. So we're confident that the deal we struck with our Chinese partners will help us to work toward resolving that national emergency.
And some just conclude with saying it was done in the spirit of cooperation, shared interest, mutual respect, and we will.
Oh, shoot. All right, now that's just feedback. I got you. A bit of feedback there.
Sharing the details with you tomorrow morning.
All right, CNN's Betsy Klein is joining us now from the White House. A lot of optimism coming from those statements.
That's exactly right, Frederica. I mean, this has the potential to be a very significant development and one that could have massive implications for the global economy. I just want to remind our viewers how we got here. Just over a month ago, President Trump imposed those sweeping 145% tariffs on most Chinese goods. This really injected a significant amount of uncertainty into the global economy, and U.S.-China trade relations have essentially been at a stalemate ever since. Now, moments ago, we heard from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and the United States Trade Representative Jameson Greer, who emerged from those two-day talks with their Chinese counterparts in Switzerland, really touting significant progress that has been made. Greer characterizing it as a deal. The White House also in an email saying that this is a deal, should be considered a trade deal. The president yesterday had said after this first round of talks that there was a total reset with China, and it is very clear that progress has been made. But I want to underscore a couple of points that Greer made in that video you just showed. He said it is important to understand the differences were not so large as maybe thought. He also said there was a significant amount of groundwork that went into these talks, and he said we are confident the deal we struck with our Chinese partners will help resolve the national emergency that President Trump declared in April. Now, Greer, even after these Trump administration officials spent the week really downplaying expectations ahead of these talks, they had characterized them as a.
And now let's get a look at what's happening in China. Shout out to China Observer. So let's take a peek. All right, guys, prepare yourself. Whoops.
做一天了，一个活儿没有啊。
I sat all day and didn't do a thing.
On May 10th, in a foreign trade factory workshop in China, a worker was seen dozing off, saying he had spent the entire day sitting around without any work to do. If this situation continues, he fears he'll have to go home early for the new year. A blogger shared a video stating that foreign trade manufacturers are struggling due to the US-China tariff conflict. The once bustling and noisy workshop scene is now gone. Foreign trade vlogger Mr. Tan shared on a video program on May 9th that the situation for Chinese foreign traders has been challenging.
那现在我们这些外贸人怎么样呢? Currently, if you search for foreign trade orders on China's Douyin platform, you'll see a flood of posts from foreign trade beauties and handsome men from the Middle East, Russia, and Africa.
To compensate for the loss of the US market, the Chinese government is encouraging exporters to turn to Europe, as well as Belt and Road countries in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. On May 9th, the Chinese State Administration of Foreign Exchange revealed that China's overseas assets increased by about $48 billion in the first quarter, an increase of 28% compared to last year. This shows that under the pressure of the trade war, Chinese companies are accelerating their overseas expansion, attempting to alleviate external tensions by creating jobs and economic growth abroad. In recent years, Chinese companies have been turning to Southeast Asia, but these developing countries cannot afford to buy that many goods. The local markets are fragmented, with somewhat inadequate commercial infrastructure. A recent report from the Chinese media outlet Titan Media mentioned that Europe has a mature consumer market, logistics, and supporting payment systems, but the market is still fragmented due to the large number of countries with distinct national characteristics. In contrast, North America, with its single-country market, is the most mature and unified, with high consumer spending and a vibrant business environment. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent recently told media personality Tucker Carlson that without the U.S. market, China cannot survive. There's no other country or group of countries that can absorb China's exports to the U.S., and no government would risk its domestic industries and employment just to take in China's cheap goods. It's important to point out that the U.S. has been closely monitoring and blocking Chinese companies using Southeast Asia for re-export trade. On the other hand, some Chinese exporting companies are now looking to set up factories in the U.S. to avoid high tariffs. According to the South China Morning Post, in recent weeks, Chinese manufacturers from various industries have been quietly but rapidly setting up new factories in the U.S. Industry insiders say this highlights the effectiveness of President Trump's Bring Manufacturing Back to America policy. On April 11th, the Chinese Communist Party announced that it would raise tariffs on U.S. goods to 125%. In response, President Trump eventually raised tariffs on Chinese goods to 145%. This trade war has indeed posed a serious threat to China, as Trump's high tariffs has blocked Chinese manufacturers from accessing the world's largest market. The escalating tariff war has caused significant disruptions to China's export chain. Export factories in Zhejiang and Guangdong, two major foreign trade provinces, are facing production stoppages, with warehouses piled high with goods originally planned for export. Negative sentiment is widespread among the Chinese public. According to reports from Caixin and other media outlets, since the implementation of the reciprocal tariff policy, many cargo ships and freight flights between China and the U.S. have been canceled. Exporters have suspended shipments, and the busy export scenes at Shanghai port came to an abrupt halt in just a few days. The air freight market has also been severely impacted. Due to the sudden high tariffs, exporters and customers have had to renegotiate the sharing of costs, leading to the suspension of many shipments. In response to the tariffs, some Chinese companies are adjusting their supply chains and moving parts of their production processes to other countries or regions, but this increases production and logistics costs. As early as President Trump's first term, to avoid tariffs imposed after 2018, Chinese manufacturers set up factories in countries like Indonesia, Vietnam, and Mexico, using these markets to bypass U.S. restrictions. This is known as place of origin washing, where goods are processed minimally in a third country, relabeled, and then exported to the target country. However, this time, Trump has imposed tariffs on almost all countries and is cracking down on the relabeling practice. Advertisements offering third country transshipment services have spread widely since April. Some neighboring countries have noticed an abnormal surge in Chinese goods. Fearing they might become transshipment hubs for Chinese products, these countries are tightening policies to prevent trade fraud. U.S. economist Davy J. Wong stated that under high U.S. tariffs, many Chinese companies have been
I
forced.
mean, to be honest, this is one of the main reasons why I don't trust China. Is like I said, they commit trade fraud, and this is exactly what they did to subvert Trump's tariffs the first time. So, hey, what you guys think? Oh, gotcha.
I mean, I think the Chinese are smart. I mean, I hate to say it, but I mean, they know what they're doing. You know, I don't blame them. I mean, if we set up policies like that, I would take advantage of us too.
Exactly. We low-key let them just, we're just gonna gut our middle class and try to stimulate yours. We're not even really stimulating it because these guys are getting paid like slave wages. So honestly, the only guys who would benefit from this are the corporations. That's why the stock market kind of took that dip, because that was the corporations letting us know.
Here's the deal, man. Like, the easiest way to control people is if they're desperate, you know, and they're desperate and needing. If you make everybody able to be free and have actual freedom of choice in their life because of like financial reasons, like, you can't control that kind of person because now they have freedom. They have the choice. You know, they don't have to rely on the fucking options they have laid in front of them because of the society that they have put themselves in.
That's what's going down in China.
100%, bro. That's exactly because they let themselves be controlled by the government. Now they retaliate because the government took away their choice, dude. They have no freedom.
It does not. And do anybody honestly see the parallels here? Like how the Democrats promise you prosperity and all that. Hold on,
rely on us.
But hold on, though. Anybody see the parallels here? How the Democrats promise you, oh, don't worry, we'll take care of you with all these social benefits. Just give up some of your rights. That's all you got to do. Same way the CCP works. We'll give you guys prosperity. We'll make sure you got jobs. Just give up some of your rights and let us surveil you for the rest of your life. That's all you got to do. My bad. Now go ahead, Green Bean.
Yeah, get a society of people to be comfortable on trusting the government providing for them to live, right? And as soon as they're comfortable and they can trust you, that's when they fucking strip all your freedom away. And then they're like, oh, well, now you're fucked because you've gotten yourself into that trap.
Same how no one knows how to grow a garden.
Yeah. Why does anybody know how to grow gardens, dude?
My great.
Why does anybody know how to fucking here's the problem.
That's why.
If the apocalypse, here's the problem, bro. Like let's say in the 1920s, if the apocalypse happened, no one would be affected, right?
They all had chickens.
And then now we're at 2025, 100 years later, right? If there's an apocalypse, everybody, 95% of the population would be fucked because they've been relying on everybody else to provide these services and these conveniences for everybody to live. And they're not relying on their own selves in order to provide for their own selves, like as far as like these little things, like the little shit. Like I have chickens at the property. We have chickens here, but I've never had to fucking buy eggs in years. And like, I don't know. I bought eggs like fucking 9 months ago, bro. Like I don't know.
Winter when they stop laying.
All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and keep it pushing with the video, dog. I'm gonna see y'all back again later.
Hey, Seth, I do have a question.
What's going on, Steph?
Well, since we're on farm Chinese stuff like that, well, what about the farmlands that the Chinese bought and everything like that?
They're already trying to, in their Congress, they're already trying to confiscate those. So they're noticing that China has been buying farmland in Oklahoma and Maine, I believe, also. Yeah.
The answer is way too many places. Way too much shit, dude. Like they're slowly infiltrating the country through the inside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, so they're pretty much buying farmland in there, and now Congress is trying to pass a bill to confiscate said farmland, which they need to do, to be quite honest.
Well, yeah.
Because it's kind of crazy because they get in here, I guess, illegally, and then they get financing to buy farmland, and like Lord knows, I mean, for weed farming, ironically, for weed farming. One of the reasons why I don't trust certain brands of weed anymore. Sucks, but it is what it is.
You know what's so funny about the whole weed farming thing? Is like there's actually so many products that can be made out of hemp, which is like fucking abundantly, like it's so easy to grow hemp. It's the same every 3 months we can be harvesting hemp, right? But we make paper out of it, we can make fucking all kinds of shit, right? The hippies were like all about
Hold
it.
on, Green Bean. Hold on, man. You gonna get them the corporate lumber elites to take you out the game, man. That's the whole reason why they made it illegal.
Yo, a little bit off topic. Someone super chatted. Don't forget the India-Pakistan ceasefire. I think that's definitely something that should be talked about eventually.
All right. Actually,
I
actually did have a video for that in the queue because they're trying to frame it as World War III, and we can also get right into it if y'all want to. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get the backgrounds of this. All right.
Pakistan says it has launched a military operation against India.
Pakistan has accused India of igniting an inferno in the region.
Tensions between India and Pakistan continue to rise as the two nuclear powers exchange heavy artillery.
US officials have confirmed Pakistan used Chinese J-10 jets to launch missiles.
India is fighting.
Yeah, I got a good point. Sorry, real quick.
For the whole world to see.
Real quick. Dude, what's gonna happen after this, bro? We fucking solved this problem with the fucking Pakistan and India and shit like that. What's the next war gonna happen, dude? That's my question, bro. Because you know what? What happened to Gaza, bro? We fucking solved Gaza or what? We fucking we settled that dispute and all of a sudden
solved Gaza. I mean, we kind of pushed Gaza down the line.
But now it's
like a 10-year
it's back news. Now that's just history, bro. Now we're on to fucking Pakistan and India, bro. Like, what's the next one, bro? Like, we solved this shit. What's the next one, bro? Come on,
trust me. You're gonna see how this one kind of loops around to China. All right, guys, let's get right back into it.
And another war.
Chinese J-10 jets to launch missiles.
India is fighting two wars right now. One against Pakistan that's out in the open for the whole world to see, and another hidden, silent conflict with China. You see, just a few days after India retaliated with military strikes against Pakistan's recent horrific terrorist attacks, the Chinese deep state and state media went into overdrive. Within hours of India's airstrikes going public, Chinese social media platforms like Weibo and Baidu exploded with anti-India propaganda. Hashtags like India attacks and hashtag India open fired instantly gained millions of views, deliberately framing India as the aggressor. Chinese influencers and even some official accounts pushed unverified and dramatic stories of fake Pakistani victories and supposed Indian humiliations. Claims went viral that were falsely stating multiple Rafales had been shot down in dogfights. China's puppet media, like Global Times, pushed aggressive op-eds blaming India for the entire crisis, but conveniently skipped mentioning the horrific terrorist attack on India that started it all. Editors even warned India against bullying Pakistan, openly hinting that China might have to teach India a lesson, purposely repeating the exact same phrase China famously used as a threat right before launching the 1962 Sino-Indian War. Meanwhile, some popular Chinese defense commentators went all in and started reposting old clips of PLA tanks and artillery moving towards the Indian border near Tibet. But their captions made it sound like they were fresh deployments happening right now. Even Chinese state TV jumped onto the bandwagon, making routine PLA drills look like serious direct threats aimed straight at India. That the PLA is ready to deal with Indian threats, and that Indian expansionism will not be tolerated. Now, of course, YouTube is not a fan of war-related topics, and CCP bots are not a fan of videos that criticize the CCP. So in this video, we need your help more than ever. If you can hit that like and subscribe button. By expansionism, they're specifically referring to Jammu and Kashmir, an Indian state that is illegally occupied by both Pakistan and China. But the real reason China's getting nervous is because of this one specific area called the Shaksgam Valley. It's part of the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, or the POK, located just north of the Siachen Glacier. You see, back in 1963, Pakistan quietly handed around 2,000 square miles of this vital territory to China through the Sino-Pakistan Agreement, something India has categorically rejected from the start. In fact, just over 1 year after that agreement, India's parliament unanimously passed a resolution clearly stating that the entire region of Jammu and Kashmir, including territories illegally occupied by Pakistan and China, specifically mentioning the Shaksgam Valley and Aksai Chin, is an integral, inseparable part of India. With tensions rising day by day, the possibility of an all-out war is very real. And if war really breaks out, then there's a strong chance that India could reclaim control over the entire POK region from Pakistan. And if that happens, Pakistan itself would likely collapse entirely. This could help Balochistan finally gain its long-awaited freedom, and other provinces would spiral into complete chaos. China absolutely cannot let this scenario happen, because if it does, they're literally doomed. Their $1 trillion Belt and Road Initiative, China's ambitious plan for global economic dominance, would collapse overnight. Not to mention that China has already poured more than $60 billion into Pakistan through the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. They've constructed extensive highways, high-speed railways, power plants, industrial parks, and most importantly, Gwadar Port, a strategic hub providing direct access to the Arabian Sea. The entire purpose behind this massive investment was to secure a reliable trade route, allowing China to bypass the Strait of Malacca. This narrow passage between Malaysia and Indonesia is extremely vulnerable and can easily be blocked off by India, the US, or any other rivals during a conflict. This is exactly why the CCP is desperately trying to de-escalate the situation through diplomatic channels. They understand clearly that if a full-scale war erupts and China doesn't intervene militarily, Pakistan will inevitably fracture. But maybe that's exactly the plan. If Pakistan falls, China immediately has an excuse to step in militarily under the guise of protecting its interests and investments. Either way, for China, whether it's a direct or an even indirect war, it's already an economic death sentence that'll set them back decades. But there's another crucial reason China is terrified. Last month, around April 7th, a rumor began spreading that Apple was planning to shift its entire iPhone production out of China and into India. At first, it seemed fake, but when the CCP dug deeper, they quickly realized that not only was it true, but other global giants like Dell, Google, HP, Walmart, and several others were also planning on doing the same. That one little rumor sent absolute panic through the CCP. And why wouldn't it? We're looking at hundreds of billions of dollars on the line. If you've been keeping up with our videos, you know the Chinese economy simply cannot survive a blow this massive. So obviously the CCP has to do something drastic. And that's when they realized that a destabilized India would be much less attractive for these big global companies. Guess what? Within just 2 weeks, on April 22nd, India suffered the deadliest attack in over a decade. Now take a step back and look at all the events. Do you start to see this disturbing pattern? First, India is attacked, and immediately Pakistan-based terror groups openly claim responsibility. India carefully responds with a controlled, precise military strike, deliberately avoiding escalation. But Pakistan doesn't back down. Instead, they dramatically escalate the conflict by launching missiles and hundreds of suicide drones on multiple Indian cities, killing several civilians and leaving dozens injured. That's an open act of war. And now India has no choice but to retaliate and escalate even further. For China?
All right. So what y'all think about that so far?
Bro. It's just like a matter of like never-ending conflict for profits, you know?
Exactly. Except it sounds like India is the one popping. Well, not India, but China's the one popping this one off.
You know what I have to say about that?
What's up?
I give a fuck about that shit. As long as we're not involved, I don't care. So
Hey, I love it. I
sorry.
love that attitude.
Sorry, I'm not a villain. I'm just saying, like, why do we have to involve ourselves in things that like don't even really concern us and people that literally don't even really like us that much? Like,
Well,
I mean,
India is actually kind of a concern because we're our next big
trade
producer
partner
was going to be kind of a deal with India. You know, we just had that like fucking JD Vance was over there in India trying to make deals. You know,
no,
I would
I
say
agree,
this.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I would say this. India, like, it helps to the initiative And this does hurt China. Like the first public announcement I heard was that Apple's taking all their production out of China. I already said, yeah, that's gonna hurt. But then when you're telling me that Dell, Walmart is taking their production out of there too, I mean, bro, that's gonna completely crush their economy, and they're not trying to go. So I do believe starting a conflict in India, making this seem like an unstable place. Because yeah, why would you want to go there as a company? You know, your whole factory might get bombed or a store
Or
might
go
get
there on purpose.
and do it themselves. Yep, go there on purpose and do it themselves. So who's to say that this isn't China's like last grip for power on the on the global market?
What's the thing, dude? It's the fact that like, all right, we have a lot of options. I mean, in reality, like there's quite a few options for Walmart to get products. Like they have American products, they have products from all over the fucking world. You know, like they're always resourcing the cheapest products they can put on the shelves for consumers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like once the tariffs hit, like they're just gonna source other products, you know, like they're gonna make deals with like they're gonna figure out other products. Like they don't have to fucking rely on China. Like they can figure it out, dude. Like there's
Exactly. Like, trust me, there's other places we can get things done. Like, I remember what they said, a cardboard factory closed down. I was like, yeah, no shit. I'm pretty sure we can find cardboard from another country, like at a reasonable price without the tariffs.
there's cardboard fucking processing in the United States.
Or clothing. I mean, clothing is done in Indonesia and Bangladesh. You can always go there for clothing. So there is, when they say there's going to be a raise in prices, I mean, first off, not only are these companies willing to hit it to their either pass the cost down to supply chain or take it in their profit margin, there's also the fact that they have other suppliers that they can go to for certain goods.
Right.
You know, that's outside of China.
The biggest problem I've seen so far is the raw material price of like steel and aluminum. Like that's the only real like expense I've seen that has costed me, or has like affected me the most. And I think the fact that like there is a mix of American materials I can get from the same company and locally here, and a mix of like Chinese materials, you know, like they're like, oh yeah, well we raised the price 20% because of the tariffs, and I'm like, well, now it's going to get to the point where we get our metal from Sacramento, and that company is now going to be sourcing the material more from the United States companies, more than they did before. They were already sourcing material from the United States companies and China and wherever else they were going to get it from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like it's just going to be a fucking just a different demand in the market. You know, like they're going to just keep resourcing from different places that are going to be cost efficient for the company. You know,
And I will say this, and
they're
I'll
going
say
to
this,
figure it out.
and when they raise the price on you now, don't you have also the other options to go to cheaper, companies?
Yeah, I can go to a place an hour away in East Bay, San Francisco, and get material for without the tariff, without the tariff hike. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and
there's
that
the only place I
working
can
out
get the
of
material from locally, kind of. You know, like it's I have options. You know, it's like I don't have to choose. I'm not stuck with an option. Like, it's
exactly.
really the company's choice whether they want to like jack the price up that much. Like they're only gonna jack the price up as much as the customer like is willing to pay. Because they jack the price up too much, the customers aren't gonna buy it, and then they're gonna lose business and they're gonna shut down. Like they don't want to do that.
All right, now I
Yo,
know. Hey,
before
yeah,
oh, sorry, I didn't mean
go
to
ahead.
interrupt you. Finish
Oh
what you
no,
had
go
to say,
ahead,
man.
man. It's all you.
Nah, man, I was just gonna say I have to go to bed soon. I have to go to bed because I have work in like 5 hours. But I just kind of wanted to ask one more question, I guess, for everyone. Right
Yeah.
now, are you okay with paying more right now on certain products so that in like 20, 30 years that maybe it's a little bit cheaper? Is that okay with you guys, or is that something that you're like, fuck, I don't want to have to pay more? Like, I understand. Like, so what are your thoughts on that? I want to hear everyone's thoughts on that before I hit the head.
I would
Yeah,
say,
real
yeah, I
quick,
wouldn't.
I can do
Now,
real
if
quick.
it was for the benefit of the future generation, which it was a
Do you think
guaranteed
it is?
benefit.
Do you think
Yeah.
it is?
Huh?
Do you
Well,
think it's for the benefit?
I would say this. If we're talking about the current climate, like with Trump and all that, and him pretty much trying to bring up take-home pay with lowering taxes, no tax on overtime, tips, Social Security, then honestly, us having more take-home pay, the price increase really wouldn't matter.
Same but different.
But if you're telling me that, oh well, you got to pay higher prices to ensure they're going to be lower in the future, I wouldn't mind that.
But some people think that as bad though. Like some people use that as their excuse of why they don't like the tariffs, and it's like long-term picture.
Well, you got to understand they don't have that end result of, oh well, things are going to get cheaper in the end, or oh, this is going to drive up American manufacturing, bring jobs here. And a lot of people forget this as well. Well, here's the thing, and when they bring these jobs here, and a lot of people want to say, oh well, there's not enough workers for these jobs. Well, actually that's a good thing, because if there's a high supply of jobs and there's also going to be a high demand, but there's not enough people to work the jobs, I mean there's going to drive up wages.
Supply and demand.
Yep, supply and demand.
All right,
Hey, Seth.
I got something real quick. Sorry, Steph, but I got something real quick.
All right, Green.
I try and buy as much as I can locally, to support my local community, right? There's obviously things I buy on Amazon because it's 10 fucking 20 times more expensive in town for like little dumb shit, right? Like I'm talking like $10, $20 shit, right?
Yeah.
Like it's so there's got to be a balance of it where like there is like, all right, what do you want to buy? Like, do you want to buy something that's going to last a long time? You're gonna spend more money on something that's quality, that's going to last a long time, and it's probably going to come from a different country than China. Like, if you want to buy something that's cheap and like kind of what you want for the time being, you know what I mean, but planned on as obsolescence, you know what I mean, like that's going to fail in 2 years, 3 years, whatever. So you buy another one. We'll buy it from China. Like where do you want to spend? You want to spend a little bit more money on something that's quality? Like you're already going to buy something that's not from China. Like
I mean, people do sacrifice longevity for utility. So
dude, that's the thing. Like, what do you want to focus? Like if you're already going to spend more money on quality, like it doesn't matter. Like I'm going to spend money on something that's going to be good, no matter where it's come from. Like I'm not buying the cheapest thing that they fucking try to sell me. I do my research and I figure out what actually is the good thing. It's most of the time it's not what they're advertising. Don't fall for the advertisement. Don't fall for the shit they put on your commercials. Like that's not the fucking good shit. The good shit is the shit you actually research for. The shit you actually look at the fine detail and the fucking the specifications of the equipment. Like that's where you find the good shit, because you start to make that shit. That's when you find the real shit, and that's when you find what's worth the money.
What's sad is most older people probably wouldn't even realize. Like, I have to educate my parents on certain things because they're a little bit older. They had me pretty late, so
everybody's been conditioned to be sold on advertisements on the TV and wherever the fuck else they're looking, because they're like, I trust that company because they're this big company. Like I should trust them.
Hold on, Green Bean. Let him finish real quick. Go ahead, man.
You know what I'm saying? That they're like the advertisements are so good, they convince you that they can be trusted to be selling you a product that you need, but it's really not a product you need. It's a product that they're convincing you that you need. It's just a product that you want because you think you need it, But really, like if you dig deeper and you fucking go and do your own little research and like just kind of look at the specs, look at the dig a little bit into the details of the product.
All right, now hold on, Green Bean. I do want to let Cade talk for a little bit. All right, Cade, what would you saying about convincing your parents of higher prices and all that good stuff?
I would say because my parents are a little bit older, so they grew up, in a different generation of, listening to, what you listen on TV, kind of just like
mainstream.
Like they don't understand, like they don't even know how to use a computer that well, like I have to like show them how, so it's like they take advantage of these people who are smart, but they just don't, like they take advantage. Not saying I'm in that sense, I'm saying like
oh no, trust me, my dad's the same way. Trust me, he's like a doctor, but the man's not too tech savvy.
Yeah, my dad's a doctor too, and he's not tech savvy at all. Like I can't even like figure out how to like take a picture correctly. Okay, so it's like
level of manipulation to get you to think that they're making the right choice. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and like that's what's scary is that they will take advantage of good people like that who mean good but are influenced by things that they have no clue what's going on around them. So
how much do these people get paid to build these advertisements? You know what I mean? Like look at those kind of people.
Oh no, trust me. I tried to talk to my dad about the immigration problem, and he told me I was misinformed. I was like, oh man, okay, they got you. They got you.
They sell you a fucking Burger King burger on the TVs telling you that it's what you need every day. How is that fucking good information for you?
Have it already.
You know what I'm saying? Like they're selling you a McDonald's burger, which is actually, if you eat a McDonald's burger, they had a movie on it. You know what I mean? Like Super Size Me. If you look at Super Size Me, yeah, that guy ate fucking McDonald's every day. And that proves to you that the fact that that shit is not good for you, and that'll
Well,
fucking
almost
kill you
died.
yourself, right? But they're selling it in a way that to make you think that you can survive on that because it's good enough for you to live. You know what I mean? Like, but it's
Yeah, it's
not
cheap.
good at all. Like that's the cause. Like we're all worried about fucking obesity. Like let's look at this fucking bullshit they're fucking selling you on the TV, bro. Like
You
let's
know,
start there.
it's a problem of instant gratification. You know, people, you know, they can grow their
100%,
food, they
bro.
can cook their food, but you know
Convenience,
that takes too long
convenience.
for
It's
some
selling
people. They rather
everything is
just, you
selling
know,
convenience.
DoorDash it. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get back to the video. All right.
Yo, one last thing. I gotta
Yeah.
go. I gotta go to
Yeah.
bed. But I wanted to ask if you have any more questions. Is there anything you want to ask or
Shoot,
anyone?
actually. Let's
Right on
see
top
here.
of the head, and I'll give you a short answer, quick answer, and I gotta hit the head.
No, just say your piece,
Shoot.
man.
All right, shoot. Let's see here. If I can give you a quick little answer off the top of my head, it'd
Or a
be
question, and I'll give
where.
you a quick answer.
Shoot. What'd you major in?
That's a good one.
Business administration, I guess.
Business administration.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
nice. All right, shoot. Where do you plan to take that?
Well, I already got into a company. I don't want to say it because I don't
Oh,
want
of
like someone
course.
finding this video and then like
Oh no,
saying
you're
it's my
good. You're
opinion.
good.
'Cause I know the people that work there. I don't think they agree with a lot of my opinions, so it's like I don't want my entire life to be ruined. But it's a over $1 billion company that I'm a part of right now. Paying pretty good right out of college, so I can't complain. You know.
All right, I love it. Okay, I love that you're off to a good start, my man. That's what I just want to assure. Because what
Yeah, man.
scared me is not everybody with the business administration get off to such a good start. And I would say,
Yeah.
and I'm just happy that you are, bro. That's all.
Yeah,
And
it's not a problem.
congratulations once again.
Thank you. I mean, I
Yeah.
appreciate that, man. I appreciate it, man. My parents are pretty happy, and I'd love to be back on this again. Like, I don't ever do shit like this, so
Bro, of course.
That's
man,
that's the kind of degree you make money doing. You know what I mean?
yeah, dude. I was just scrolling through my shorts today, and it came up. It was like, watch a live video. I'm like, all right, cool. And I just clicked on your video, and I was like, I was liking what you're doing, and I think you have something good going, and I think you should keep doing it. And I'd love to come back and give some more opinions about different topics again.
Oh yeah,
bro, for sure.
It was
Well,
it was a pleasure.
also,
Sorry.
before you go, I just want to say, it's not like they say about growing pains. Well, it's not growing pains. It's more like fixing pains.
What's the context? I'm sorry.
Like to what we were talking about before, but I didn't want to
Oh,
interrupt I didn't want to interrupt anybody.
No, you can interrupt.
Oh, you're good. You're good, Steph.
Set knows me, and I stay quiet until.
Yeah, cordial. I like it. It's very polite.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a
Well,
pleasure.
alright.
It was a pleasure meeting you guys, and I hope we S.E.T. I hope we can talk again and do something. All right.
All right, man, for sure, man. All right, bro. Be safe out there, man. Keep up the hard work.
Peace, all of y'all. All right. Have a good night. God bless, and stay safe. All right.
Yeah, man. God bless.
You too.
I mean, shoot, I do love to hear, man. I do love to hear the younger generation going out there and killing it. Honestly,
I knew he was awesome.
You know what?
Good call, Steph. Good call.
I gotta say something about younger generations.
What's up?
As far as being like a welder and a metal fabricator, they say that I'm a part of a dying breed, right? When you think about a dying breed, it means that the culture is moving away from the hands-on skilled, like labor to in order to like for like a metaverse kind of labor. You know what I mean?
Honestly, I don't think you guys are ever gonna go out because like we need you guys
Yeah.
for honestly all the.
We're slimming out. The amount of people that are interested in it are definitely slimming out. You know, like
Yeah, but I remember I was working for this airplanes manufacturing company, and
well,
it was
here in
mainly
California,
welders.
yeah.
You know, you feel me? Mainly welders, and we need that. I mean, we need welders for our weapons, welders for our technology. I don't think you guys.
Construction.
Like people want to talk down on you guys, but let's be real, we need you.
The reason why they pay so much for welders, like they're people are starting out like $35, $45 an hour for a
Yeah, they
reason,
should.
because even at minimal experience, because of the fact that they're so in demand. Like they're willing to put money towards training people because of the fact that it's a dying breed. It's literally the biggest dying breed, and it's actually worth fucking looking into, because of the fact that it's one of the skills where it's very in demand, because all, like, think of it, all buildings are built with like welding, like
Yeah.
they all involve welding.
And
A
here's
lot
the
of
thing.
things
I
involve
say there's just less of those types of people. There are those types of people like you who want to work with their hands, and then there's those who kind of want to work in the office. And honestly, I respect both sides. I just don't like when one side looks down on the other. And
it's all is needed. I would say all is needed. But we can't push everybody towards one side. We can't make everybody coders. We can't make everybody fucking programmers. We gotta have the balance. Like there's gotta be the balance of it. There's
shout out
gotta
to
be
my man Castro though. He says the big energy waste is ads. Cut them out.
Ads suck, dude. Ads is the worst thing in the fucking in population and the humanity and all the time. The advertisements is like the worst thing that ever come about a reality. I would say.
Yeah, advertisement.
Like the ads we have now.
Yeah, propaganda.
Every fucking 10 seconds, every 10 minutes, you have a fucking 5 minutes worth of ads on TV. I don't even watch them.
That's how they brainwash you, don't you know?
Exactly. It's somebody got paid a lot of money in order to figure out how to effectively put that advertisement into your head,
Right.
Nah, true.
They
But
got
all right,
paid.
guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get back to the video on this one. Then we're gonna go ahead and get into
I'm
conspiracy hour.
sorry, dude. We're having fun here. Happy Mother's Day, everybody.
All right, man. You too, brother.
Especially given their decades-long rivalry with India. Plus, everyone knows Pakistan is basically China's pet. Imagine you're Chinese and you've got a pet that you don't particularly like or care about. It's pretty easy to send it off to do your dirty work, like attacking a neighbor you despise, because in the end, your pet takes all the blame, not you. And if anyone thinks this sounds too far-fetched or dramatic, just remember what the CCP has already done to its own citizens. Whether it's the brutal Tiananmen Square massacre, the mass imprisonment and forced labor of millions of Uyghur Muslims, or the systematic disappearance of countless Tibetans. China has shown time and time again that there are no lines they won't cross. For the CCP, companies leaving China isn't just about money. It's about survival. And when survival is on the line, they'll do whatever it takes to protect their grip on global power. Now, after the terror attack, the CCP likely celebrated, thinking their plan worked perfectly. But just 3 days later, Apple stunned them by officially confirming their move to India anyway. Now Apple plans to manufacture a massive $40 billion worth of iPhones in India by 2026. That's around 80% of all iPhones sold in the US market. Now that China's economic game plan has completely fallen apart, their next move could be ruthless and extreme, potentially dragging the world into an all-out war. Now let's break down exactly how China might move against each Indian state, based on decades of think tank research, war games, and geopolitical analysis. Let's start with the obvious hotspot, the icy deserts of Ladakh.
All right, guys, we got a quick little breaking, man. Let's see here. Whoop. But yes, we got a breaking here. Let's see if I can go ahead and make sure I got the video pulled up, because I believe Scott Bessent came out and they are actually discussing how the China trade talks went. Where you at? There we go. Perfect. It just came out about 81 minutes ago. So yes, about 2 hours ago this came out. All right, guys. Live from Geneva.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being with us. First of all, we want to express our great thanks to the Swiss government for facilitating this trade meeting here in Geneva. We had very productive talks, and I believe that the venue here on Lake Geneva added great equanimity to what was a very positive process. We have reached an agreement on a 90-day pause and substantially move down the tariff levels. Both sides on the reciprocal tariffs will move their tariffs down 115%. We had very robust discussions. Both sides showed great respect. It was a chance for me to meet the Chinese delegation. The vice premier, I had previously had only a video call with. Ambassador.
And now, okay, so I guess they're rolling back it on all of the tariffs that China put on us, because China already released the 125% tariffs on our tech equipment. But all right, let's keep it going.
Jameson was here with the two of the other leaders on the delegation from his previous time. So there was very good personal interaction. Both countries represented their national interests very well. We concluded that we have shared interest, and we both have an interest in balanced trade. The U.S. will continue moving towards that. I will let Ambassador Jameson talk about the president's initiatives that began on a historic trade announcement on January 20th, which no other president has ever done, following to April 2nd, when we implemented the reciprocal tariffs.
Thank you, Secretary, and I will echo your thanks to the Swiss government officials for hosting us this weekend. The atmosphere was very conducive to discussions, and thanks to them, we were able to have very constructive and positive conversations with our Chinese counterparts, who clearly came to deal this week. The rapid nature that we were able to conduct and conclude these discussions is a testament to mutual understanding and mutual respect between the Chinese and U.S. sides. With respect to the U.S. Trade position, our interactions with China, and the agreement today, please keep in mind that the United States trade deficit has ballooned over the past several years, ending up at $1.2 trillion deficit in goods as of the end of last year, which was an approximately 42% increase over a few years prior, when there was an $850 billion trade deficit at the beginning of the Biden administration. That is a rapid and expansive increase in the trade deficit. And our view is that this is driven in large part by non-reciprocal trade, among other things. And the result has been offshoring of manufacturing and other negative impacts on the U.S. economy. And so on January 20th, when the president was inaugurated, he released the America First trade policy, which was comprehensive and flagged that and actually directed agencies, including U.S. Trade Representative and others, to research this issue and to provide options, which we did. And the president elected to impose reciprocal tariffs on April 2 to address this national emergency of the trade deficit. There was a global baseline tariff accompanied by higher reciprocal tariffs for each country, depending on the level and intensity of their trade surplus with the United States. In all of this, China was assigned a reciprocal tariff rate of 34%. China was the only country that chose to implement retaliation against the United States for this reciprocal tariff. All other countries, withheld and decided that they wanted to negotiate with the United States or simply not retaliate. And so we've been in detailed discussions with other countries for several weeks at this point. China, as you know, retaliated not only with tariffs, but with disproportionate and asymmetrical non-tariff measures in order to maintain the effectiveness of the reciprocal tariff measures. The president increased our tariff rates to offset Chinese retaliation. And as you know, this escalated to a point where both sides had added 125% tariffs, and with the Chinese side, additional non-tariff measures, amounting to an embargo in some senses on trade, an effective embargo, which of course was not a sustainable practice for either side. And so today, with this agreement, we come to agreement that that our reciprocal tariff rate will go down to 10% on the United States side, so it goes down 115%. We enter into a 90-day pause period for negotiations, which both the Chinese and the United States are very committed to, and the Chinese on their side also go down 115% to 10%, and they remove the countermeasures that they have in place. To be very clear.
Hold on now. Hold on. We're getting China to reduce by 10. Let me make sure I got that right.
A pause period for negotiations, which both the Chinese and the United States are very committed to, and the Chinese on their side also go down 115% to 10%, and they remove the countermeasures that they have in place. To be very clear, other measures that the United States has put in place in the past, whether it's tariff measures from 2018 or since, tariffs under other statutory authorities, tariffs related to fentanyl, those remain unchanged for now to the side. I'll just make one point, is that both the Chinese and the United States agreed to work constructively together on fentanyl, and there's a positive path forward there as well.
All right, so pretty much to break down what he said, both sides have agreed to put a 10% base tariff on all their products, when it comes to trade, but China still has a 30% tariff on all products due to the 10% baseline and the 20% on their fentanyl tax or their fentanyl tariff. So that's the breakdown of what he said so far.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, just if I may make a few final remarks to give you framing and context. I think throughout the trade process, we have had a plan. We have a process in place, and now with the Chinese, after this weekend, we have a mechanism for continued talks. So process, plan, and mechanism. I would say one of the big takeaways from this weekend, the United States will continue a strategic rebalancing in many areas that were exposed as supply chain weaknesses during COVID, whether it's medicines, whether it's semiconductors, steel, we've identified 5 or 6 strategic industries and supply chain vulnerabilities, and we will continue moving toward U.S. independence or reliable supplies from allies on those. But the consensus from both delegations this weekend is neither side wants a decoupling. And what had occurred with these very high tariffs, as Ambassador Greer said, was the equivalent of an embargo, and neither side wants that. We do want trade. We want more balanced trade, and I think that both sides are committed to achieving that. We would like to see China open to more U.S. goods. We expect that as the negotiations proceed, that there will also be a possibility of purchase agreements to pull what is our largest bilateral trade deficit into balance that has gotten out of balance. And much of this has happened through neglect over the past 4 years, as the previous administration did not engage on this issue. That was put forward to us by the Chinese, in fact, and we can see it in what happened to the Phase 1 agreement. We are only looking forward, and we look forward to very good discussions now that we have the mechanism created in Geneva this weekend for talks.
Great. And with that, let's kick off questions. I'll start at the front row. Jenny, Leonard Bloomberg.
Thank you so much. Going into these talks, the president posted on Truth Social that he believes an 80% tariff on China seems right. It obviously went down substantially more. how did you end up going to 30%? Was that the president pushing you, or the Chinese not budging before you went down? And then secondly, you have a 90-day pause now, as you have with other countries. What specifically do you want to see in those 90 days? What kind of progress do you want to see in those 90 days and have agreed to by then to not ratchet up the tariffs? Because it is just a pause, right?
Yeah, so I'll.
Tariffs then snap back basically if you don't have something agreed upon that is substantive.
So the Chinese April 2nd number was 34, continues to be 34%. I'll let Ambassador Greer answer the first question. And just like with all our other trading partners, as long as there is good faith effort, engagement, and constructive dialogue, then we will keep moving forward.
I would just say, Jenny, with respect to, the president's message and ultimate rates, I mean, everything is a negotiation, right? And the president, he gives the Secretary of the Treasury and I and other members of the cabinet direction and advice on how to proceed. And we ended up at a result that is very good for the United States, very good for China as well. We retain our 10% global baseline tariff, which we have on other countries. We have, in addition to that, previous measures that we've retained, which have been, frankly, effective in reducing the U.S. bilateral trade deficit with China over the past few years. So that leaves us in a very good position all in with respect to measures on Chinese imports, but more importantly, leaves us in a constructive path forward to have a positive conversation with the Chinese.
Yeah, but what's the 90-day checklist? That's what I want to know. Like, give me a checklist of what you want to achieve with these guys within 90 days, or we're hiking it back up.
On how to rebalance and have more constructive trade.
Great. In the back, Associated Press.
Hi, I'm Jamie from Associated Press. We just heard our colleague talk about 30% tariffs. I'm just trying to understand these numbers here because they're all over the place. We were at 145 before, apparently, and 125, I believe, from the Chinese side. So can you say clearly now that I think the question was, right now for the 90-day period, the U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods will be down to 30%. Is that correct? So 30.
So again, this agreement is really about the reciprocal tariff, which was imposed by the United States on April 2nd, and the escalatory steps which followed. Those on each side, the Chinese side and U.S. side, ended up at 125% on each other. The Chinese had additional non-tariff countermeasures. That has all come down by 115% to 10% each. The United States earlier this year imposed 20% related to fentanyl. That still exists. So if you're looking at Trump term 2, tariffs on China right now effective, it's 30%.
Okay.
There are prior measures which change by product, by sector, by level, et cetera. You can't really give a specific number on that right now. What matters for the agreement today is that we each agreed to come down on the reciprocal tariff and related retaliation to 10%. So a reduction of 115% down to 10%. Fentanyl is on its own track, but on a very positive track where we're having very constructive conversations with our Chinese counterparts.
And I would add a couple of things. This does not include any sector-specific tariffs that have been put across all of our trading partners. And as the ambassador said, I think he would agree with me that
Okay, that doesn't include any sector-specific tariffs. So in terms of getting cars from China, we're talking about the 10% base, the 20% fentanyl, and then 25%, tariff on, all cars. So, that will leave the car price. If you're trying to get a car out of China, it's going to be tariffed at 55%. On cars.
Upside surprise for me from this weekend was the level of Chinese engagement on the fentanyl crisis in the United States. They brought the Deputy Minister for Public Safety, who is not traditionally part of the trade team or the negotiating team, and he had a very robust and highly detailed discussion with someone from the U.S. national security team.
Great. Next, John Huddy with Newsnet.
Mr. Secretary, will there be any immediate impact that U.S. consumers will see from this? And what was the toughest part of the talks, the Chinese part? Notorious for being very difficult negotiators. Was there any moment that you felt the talks could break down? And as far as defense, I'm sorry, I know there's 3 questions here, but what are the Chinese willing to do in terms of the fentanyl crisis? Did they make any promises or any agreements to combat fentanyl?
Okay. Well, there's a lot to unpack there. So let me recap that. So you're asking U.S. consumers, the last one was fentanyl, and what was the second question?
Toughest part of the negotiation.
Well, I'll start there first. Both sides represented their national interest well, but we also concluded that we had shared interest and that neither side was interested in a decoupling. And again, a lot of back and forth on various differences in views on fair trade. We informed them, I had a discussion that trade deficits are a result of 3 things. 1, terms of trade, 2, currency, and then 3, the United States fiscal position. We informed them that Trump administration is working very hard on containing this out of control fiscal deficit that we inherited from the previous administration. 2, there was no discussion on currency. And 1, it was on terms of trade. And on fentanyl, again, for the first time, there was engagement between 2 teams with detailed knowledge. And I think for the first time, the Chinese understood the magnitude of what is happening in the U.S. in 2018 in Buenos Aires. They did a good job of banning the actual fentanyl. But what we have seen is substantial interaction between bad Chinese actors and many North American drug dealers, especially Mexican cartels. Treasury has designated several of the Mexican cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. We made that clear to the Chinese. They were very receptive. As you may or may not know, the Chinese have very draconian measures for the sale of illicit narcotics in China, and we have asked them to be equally as draconian with the people who are poisoning Americans.
And let me make a point. Your question about what was the toughest part of the negotiation, I would submit it was actually, in the lead up to the negotiation, trying to repair the channels of communication that had atrophied under the last administration, where, our office, for example, the Office of the United States Trade Representative, had almost no substantive discussions with the Chinese side on trade. And although we have significant differences with the Chinese on trade and economics, and we have major complaints, you have to discuss these complaints. You have to have a channel for discussions, and overcoming that was a substantial challenge. And a lot of work went into that over the past several weeks, so that by the time we got here, we were able to be very pragmatic with each other. And to be sure, there were tough things to deal with on, the level of removal, the timing for implementation, managing each side's, domestic politics, et cetera. And I won't go into too much detail, but I would say the toughest part was simply getting to a position where we could, in good faith, both sides work with each other. And once we did, we were able to do this in a couple of days. This is not the first time I've done trade negotiations with the Chinese, and sometimes it can take a very, very long time to overcome misunderstandings. we were able to do that effectively over the past few weeks, which enabled us to be very pragmatic and effective this weekend.
And I think we leave with a very good mechanism to avoid the unfortunate escalations as we saw after April 2nd from happening again. What had been very unusual about the relationship was that President Trump, Party Chairman Xi, they have a good relationship, but that the nature of what has happened since April 2nd could have been avoided if we had had this kind of mechanism in place. And I believe it is in place now. I think we leave today with a process that will move forward. And again, great mutual respect for our Chinese counterparts. I believe they showed us the same.
The impact on U.S. consumers, will U.S. consumers see any resulting?
I mean, Mr. You're the Treasury Secretary, so you're better suited. But I would say on the front end, there's been a lot of talk about impact on consumers that just never really translate to the numbers. Consumption remained high, et cetera. And so I think what we're going to see is that we're going to have our economy continue taking off as we put structure around these negotiations and get global trade into a better place.
And as I reiterated last week, the Trump economic plan is three pieces: trade, tax, and deregulation. Trade has been implemented first, and that process is occurring. We believe that the tax portion is going very well. Speaker Johnson, Leader Thune, who I am in constant contact with, believe that midsummer we will pass, as the president likes to call it, his one big beautiful bill. And we believe that that will provide substantial relief for American households. And then deregulation, a hidden and pernicious tax on American households, is regulation. We believe that the last administration added several $1,000s a year to American families' cost, and that we will be not only cutting those substantially, rolling that back, but cutting those substantially.
Thanks. I think we have time for about maybe 2 or 3 more questions. The most, sorry, ma'am, name and outlook, please.
Yeah, it's June Brooks, BBC. It's very heartening what you're telling us. I'm wondering whether you think it might have been a better idea to start at this point of negotiation rather than start with the big list of tariffs and all the global turmoil that caused and the fear, frankly, in some countries around the world. How about, do you think in hindsight it might have been better to reach out and say we want to talk to you guys about this?
I disagree entirely. We have spent decades at the World Trade Organization and multilateral and bilateral negotiations trying to get other countries to reduce their tariffs and non-tariff barriers to be more reciprocal with the U.S. We've had one of the most open economies for decades. The promise of the WTO and the multilateral system is that everyone was going to come down. It turns out the U.S. went down significantly. There were other economies that had low tariffs as well, but retained very high non-tariff barriers. We have tried really hard to work within the system, and the net result is a $1.2 trillion deficit in goods. The net result is manufacturing went to China, East Asia, Mexico, et cetera. So we tried all of that. So the idea that we can just keep saying, well, why don't we just talk a little bit more, we'll have a different outcome, I think just is totally detached from reality.
And I would add a couple of things, that as our 18 important trading partners come to us, many with very good deals, as the UK, who skipped to the front of the line as our oldest ally, as Ambassador Greer and I look at their proposals, again, to lower tariffs, to lower the non-tariff trade barriers. Obviously, UK does not have a currency manipulation problem. And the subsidies for labor and industry, we look at these, and I think, how did we get here? How did we get here? And I echo part of what President Trump said, that he doesn't blame the other economies for taking advantage of a fluid, taking advantage of the situation when they were allowed to do it. He blames previous U.S. leaders. So we are just trying to restore a healthy equilibrium. That the U.S. economy has become very unbalanced. On one side, we have a forward-leaning, the deepest and widest financial markets in the world. We have financial innovation. We have the tech sector that is the envy in the world. On the other side, we are a natural resources economy led by energy. So it is a barbell, but in between, precision manufacturing, especially precision manufacturing, has been wiped out. And it is our intent to bring that back. So we want to rebalance. And I think that there is a big opportunity. If I think about this weekend, the Chinese, they have gone the other way. They are unbalanced in terms of overproduction in the manufacturing sector. They have stated, but have not yet rebalanced toward a more consumption-oriented economy. And there is a chance, if we can open up trade to China, have more fair trade toward the U.S., that we could rebalance together. So I reject the notion that business as usual would have worked.
Thank you.
Great, and I think this will be our last question, as we're just about out of time. Swiss outlet, Ernst Geringer with Washington.
Yes, I have a question with regard of setting of these very successful talks as we hear. Switzerland has been in the center for international conferences for many decades. In recent times, we've been under tremendous pressure. The ambassador of Joe Biden to Switzerland called Switzerland the hole in the donut. My question is, how high does your administration value reliable Swiss neutrality for conferences or meetings as we just witnessed this weekend?
Well, I won't speak for the previous ambassador. My neighbor in Charleston, South Carolina, is the ambassador under President Trump, Ambassador Ed McMullen, who was highly respected here. He continues to engage with the Swiss American Foundation, and he has led this administration's effort to re-engage with Switzerland after the past 4 years. So we value the relationship. I believe Switzerland is now one of maybe the 6th largest investor in the U.S., which is incredible for an economy with 9 million people. We hope that Switzerland will bring some of its very robust trade training programs to the U.S. as we re-engage the manufacturing sector, because I believe the U.S. has a lot to learn from Switzerland. And again, the UK and Switzerland have moved to the front of the queue for the trade deals, whereas the EU has been much slower. So we value that also.
And I would say, with respect to the negotiating dynamics, and this may not seem important to those not involved in this, but the atmospherics provided by the Swiss government were incredibly conducive to the conclusions we had this weekend. They allowed us to use the grounds of the residence of the Swiss ambassador to the United Nations, which had a very intimate, internal rooms, and importantly for us, where a lot of the key negotiations happened, were outside under a large, beautiful tree on a set of patio sofas, frankly, where we had the most important discussions on the most challenging issues. And having this setting, as opposed to, no offense to the Intercontinental, which has been great, as opposed to a sterile hotel conference situation or conference rooms, I think let us develop a personal relationship with our counterparts and lead to the successful conclusion we had.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. I think
All right.
that's it for us in time today. Thank you so much for coming out.
All right, we're going to go ahead and move right into Conspiracy Hour, man. And God, and shout out to the support from last night, because that's what got us the Conspiracy Hour and the call-in open for tonight. So appreciate the support, guys.
Files is brought to you by Opera. Fishing in the Musconetcon River, Brian Richter stopped mid-cast. Something was wrong. The birds stopped singing. Insects stopped buzzing. The forest was suddenly quiet. Too quiet. Then he felt it. Eyes on his back. Someone or something was watching him. Brian turned slowly. At first, he saw nothing. Then movement caught his eye. Between the trees stood something impossible. 7 feet tall at least, long, thin limbs, a triangular head with large black eyes. Brian thought it looked like an insect, but it would be the biggest insect he'd ever seen, and it was staring right at him. Brian froze. Then something strange happened. He felt the creature in his mind, reading his thoughts. Somehow he knew this creature was intelligent. Then the being became transparent and faded away. It didn't move, it just vanished. The forest remained silent. Brian quickly packed his gear. It was time to go. He couldn't see it, but he knew the creature was still there somewhere. And there were more of them. A lot more.
My authority. I know about your authority, but the screens stay up.
Yeah, human. Thank Neptune you answered. I got a publishing emergency.
Can we make this quick? This is the best part.
But at first,
45 miles through the Appalachian Mountains, the Musconetcon River begins at Lake Hopatcon in northern New Jersey. It winds 45 miles through the Appalachian Mountains until it empties into the Delaware. The river looks ordinary, but locals know better. For years, people living around the Musconetcon River have reported strange encounters. Mothman, Sasquatch, UFOs, ghost lights, and all kinds of unexplained phenomena. And then there's the Mantis Man. The first documented Mantis Man sighting came in 2006. Paul Jacks was fly fishing when he felt the strange vibration in his right ear. He turned and saw something standing on the bank. Not an animal, not a person. A 7-foot-tall mantis-like creature watching him.
I was just high in the river. The first thing I saw was this grasshopper thigh, but bending forward like a human, then the whole form. It was looking at me over its shoulder, moving up the bank, astonished, amazed.
The creature had a triangular head, massive black eyes, and a gangly body just like a praying mantis. But this wasn't just a large insect. It had humanoid features, a thinking being. When Paul locked eyes with it, he sensed the mantis was surprised he could see it. The creature turned, started walking, then simply vanished. Paul didn't think it slipped into another dimension. He believed it was cloaked, accidentally visible for just those few seconds. Paul stayed quiet about his encounter for years. Then he learned he wasn't alone. In 2011, Joe Parenti was fishing with his brother when he heard humming and felt tingling throughout his body. He turned to find a 7-foot-tall, dark brown humanoid mantis staring down at him. The being had visible mandibles moving up and down like it was eating something. Joe froze with fear as he locked eyes with the creature. Then Joe felt the mantis pulling information from his mind telepathically, not just reading thoughts, extracting memories, learning his fears, his hopes, learning everything. Then a thick fog rolled in. The mantis spread its arms and extended a huge set of wings, a display of power. Then it vanished into the mist. Joe collapsed, overwhelmed with fear. In 2014, a driver crossing a bridge over the Musconetcon saw a dark figure in the river. He slowed down for a closer look. It was brown, nearly 8 feet tall with thin arms. And before he could process what he was seeing, the being became transparent and disappeared. There were lots of other sightings too, but most were from a distance. But Paul Jacks and Joe Parenti saw the Mantis Man up close. Both described the same creature in the same location. Neither knew about the other's encounter, yet their stories match exactly. First, you hear humming. Then you feel a vibration. The forest goes silent. Then you start to feel strange. You might not see it, but a mantis is close. It can manipulate your perception, paralyze your body. And once you're powerless to resist, it can penetrate your mind. When a mantis man appears, it changes everything around it. The forest goes quiet, electronics malfunction, time seems to slow down. But the most disturbing effect happens inside your mind. Lon Strickler, a paranormal researcher, has documented dozens of mantis man encounters since 2006. The physical and psychological effects on witnesses follow a consistent pattern. First comes the humming, a low vibration felt more than heard, then a strange tingling sensation spreads throughout the body. Many witnesses report feeling their hair standing on end, like static electricity building up all around them. Then something is in your mind.
It wasn't just that I could see it. I could feel it looking into me. Not at me, into me. It knew things about me I'd never told anyone. Memories from when I was a kid. Things I was afraid of. I didn't hear words exactly, but I understood what it wanted.
This telepathic intrusion is reported by nearly all witnesses who get within 20 yards of a mantis entity. The creature seems capable of extracting information directly from human minds. Some witnesses describe it as having your brain scanned or someone flipping through the pages of your thoughts. This effect isn't always threatening. Several witnesses report feeling a strange calm during the encounter, a sense of communication, understanding. But this feeling vanishes when the creature does. The feeling of calm is quickly replaced by confusion and fear. Electronic devices often malfunction during these encounters. Cameras stop working. Cell phones die. Watches run backward. One fisherman's battery-powered depth finder exploded moments before a mantis appeared beside his boat. And there may be a scientific explanation for these events. The Musconetcong River runs near several fault systems. Some researchers suggest that fault lines can create unusual electromagnetic fields. NASA calls them X-points, or electron diffusion regions. At these locations, the Earth's magnetic field connects with the sun's magnetic field, creating a temporary portal where charged particles can flow between the two. The Musconetcong River might be more than just a spooky fishing spot. It might be a doorway, and something intelligent and powerful lives on the other side. According to witness reports, there are dozens of different alien species living on Earth. They're aware of each other. Some are allies, some are enemies, but they all exist in a complex hierarchy, a pyramid of power. At the top of the pyramid is a species more powerful than all the rest. The mantis entities are not here to visit. They are not here to observe. The mantis are here to rule.
Oh shit!
The mantis beings aren't just appearing on riverbanks in New Jersey. They're showing up in people's cars, in remote cabins, in their bedrooms. And those people are being taken. You might remember the episode I did on the Terry Lovelace abduction story. I'll link to it below, but here's a quick recap. Terry and a friend went camping at Devil's Den State Park in Arkansas. In the middle of the night, they were taken aboard a spacecraft. Inside, Terry was paralyzed but awake and strapped to a medical table. On the ship, he saw several different types of aliens. The typical small gray aliens were there, but they weren't in charge. They worked for the mantis.
There was a mantis-like being with a triangular head and huge slanted black eyes. It had an insect-type mouth. I was screaming. It turned and got close to my head, and I could hear him clearly in my mind like any spoken word. He was annoyed. He said, "Why are you screaming? Stop screaming. You know we don't hurt you. We take you back. Stop screaming."
Terry's experience isn't unique. In thousands of documented alien abduction cases from all over the world, mantis-like entities appear again and again. They're described as 7 to 8 feet tall with triangular heads. They have large black eyes and thin insect-like bodies covered in an exoskeleton. Abductees consistently report that these mantis beings seem to be in positions of authority. Whitley Strieber, author of Communion, described mantis beings as engineers or scientists who directed smaller gray aliens, just like Terry Lovelace claimed. Other abductees describe them as doctors or officers who oversee medical procedures and genetic sampling. The stories are consistent. People who have never met from different cultures, countries, and backgrounds describe the same beings with the same temperament and same role. They're cold, calculating, intelligent, and efficient. They communicate telepathically. They can control human movement with a gesture. They appear to be studying us. And they've been watching us for a long, long time. Dr. John Mack was a Harvard psychiatrist and Pulitzer Prize-winning author. In 1995, he published research on alien abduction cases. He found that patients with no history of mental illness were reporting nearly identical encounters with these beings. The descriptions were too similar to dismiss. Early cave paintings like those found in the Algerian Sahara dating back 8,000 years show mantis-headed figures. The Khoisan tribe of Africa has depicted mantis-like beings in their rock art for thousands of years. Whatever these entities are, they've been watching us for a very long time. And according to people who've encountered them, the mantis aren't just passive observers. They have an agenda, a plan they've been working on for centuries. The petroglyphs in Iran, the rock art in Africa, Native American legends, the symbols in Egypt, they all tell the same story, a story about visitors from the stars who shaped human history from the very beginning.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
The story of mantis beings observing humanity isn't new. It's one of the oldest stories in the world, so old it's written in stone. In 2018, researchers in Iran discovered a remarkable petroglyph carved into a rock at Tamara. It shows a six-limbed figure with a triangular head. Entomologists believe it depicts a praying mantis. Archaeologists dated it between 4,000 and 40,000 years old. The figure has a humanoid quality, not quite insect, not quite person. It's both. And this isn't the only ancient mantis depiction. San people in southern Africa have portrayed mantis-headed figures in their rock art for thousands of years. To them, the mantis is a creator god who helped shape the world. Dr. Roger Miller, an anthropologist who specializes in prehistoric art, notes a pattern.
These mantis figures appear in isolated cultures that had no contact with each other. The San people of Africa, ancient Mesopotamians, and even early Egyptian texts all depict similar beings. The question isn't whether these cultures saw something. The question is, what exactly were they seeing?
The ancient Egyptians depicted mantis-like entities in the Book of the Dead. They served as underworld guides who led souls to judgment. These beings are consistently portrayed not as animals or insects, but as intelligent entities with power and purpose. Even the word mantis reveals something interesting. It comes from the ancient Greek word mantis, meaning prophet or seer, someone who could see things others can't. In Native American traditions, especially tribes in the Southwest, there are stories of insect-like beings who came from the sky. The Hopi speak of Kachina spirits, some depicted with mantis-like features. They served as messengers between humans and the gods. Modern encounters with mantis entities share striking similarities with these ancient stories. The beings are described as emotionless, highly intelligent, and possessing abilities beyond human comprehension. They communicate without speaking. They appear and disappear at will. The consistency across time and cultures suggests something more than a coincidence. Either humans across the globe independently invented the same fictional entity with the same physical characteristics and behavior, or these beings have been on Earth for thousands of years. Ancient astronaut theorists believe these depictions are evidence of contact with an advanced extraterrestrial race. Skeptics argue they're simply cultural interpretations of an insect that already looks somewhat humanoid. But neither explanation fully covers the modern encounters that continue to this day. Whatever these beings are, they've been watching us since the dawn of civilization, and they're still watching now. But there's a theory that's even more disturbing than the ancient astronaut theory. What if these beings didn't come from another planet? What if they're an ancient species with technology so advanced they can slip between dimensions? If that's true, then this isn't a story about abduction or visitation. This is a story of evolution. What if millions of years ago, a species of insect went underground, hidden from the dinosaurs? Deep below the surface, they evolved. Their brains developed neural networks like ours. But millions of years earlier, they mastered atomic manipulation, cloaking, teleportation, technologies we can't comprehend. Those highly evolved insects don't just observe us. They collect specimens, extract DNA. They're comparing our evolutionary path to theirs, learning what makes us different, our emotions, our creativity, our unpredictability, things their hive mind doesn't understand. That's one theory of the mantis entities. But is it true? Could the mantis man have evolved on Earth? Probably not. The largest insect that ever lived was the Meganeuropsis, a dragonfly with a 2.5-foot wingspan from 300 million years ago. Insects were bigger then because the Earth's atmosphere was 35% oxygen. Today it's only 21%. Insects breathe through spiracles, small holes in their exoskeleton. This system works for small animals but fails on larger ones. A 7-foot mantis would suffocate under its own weight. Its exoskeleton would be too heavy to move. So if not an evolved Earth insect, what are they? Another theory is they're interdimensional beings. And interdimensional doesn't mean aliens from another planet. It means beings from here, just in another layer of reality. We perceive 4 dimensions: height, width, depth, and time. Theoretical physics says there could be more dimensions, 10, 11, 12. Nobody knows for sure. But scientists
Physicists have covered. Has discovered about 11 so far. About 11 that your brain could access.
CERN's Large Hadron
Shout out DMT.
Collider are actively searching for evidence of extra dimensions. If these dimensions were folded into subatomic space, advanced beings could move sideways through reality, like flipping pages through a book. Each page exists simultaneously, but we only see one page at a time. They see the entire book. This might explain why they appear and disappear so suddenly. They're not breaking the laws of physics. They're using laws we don't understand yet. Another theory: the mantis beings are extraterrestrial. If an advanced species evolved on a planet with lower gravity, a different atmosphere, they might develop insect-like characteristics. The telepathic and cloaking abilities could be technology so advanced it appears supernatural to us. And some researchers claim the mantis beings are using cloaking technology similar to what our military is developing, or the military is trying to reverse engineer mantis technology. There's no hard evidence for any of those theories. So how do we explain the consistency of reports, the specific details, the vibration, the humming, the mental intrusion, always repeated across witnesses who never met? That can't be a coincidence. And it probably isn't. Mantis man encounters sound a lot like sleep paralysis. You're supposed to be asleep when paralysis sets in, but once in a while, you'll still be awake. And if you don't know what's happening, it can be terrifying. You will hear buzzing, you'll feel vibrations, and hear voices in your head. You might also see shadow figures. And I covered a lot of this in our Shadow People episode, linked below. But most mantis sightings happen when witnesses are fully awake and active, often outdoors, standing in a river. That's not sleep paralysis. So are mantis humanoids real? Well, that depends on you. If you need hard evidence, then no, they're not real. But if you believe the witnesses, then something might be out there, something that defies easy explanation. I expected to easily debunk this story. I couldn't. I also found no definitive proof. The honest answer is, we don't know. Throughout human history, we've depicted these mantis beings in art and stories. They've been gods, guides, messengers, and observers. Not quite human, not quite alien. They exist in the liminal, the space in between the known and the unknown. That's a space we can't reach, and probably never will. We'll never catalog every species. We'll never fully map the earth and the bottom of the sea. We will never know everything, and that uncertainty can be terrifying, or it can be comforting. It depends on your point of view. I choose the latter. Now, though I'm skeptical of the mantis man, I can tell you one thing for sure. You'll never catch me fishing in a river in New Jersey.
All right, so the information is here or there. Weak. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and close it down on this one, man. Y'all know what time it is.
It's all magic, no tricks.
All right, guys, y'all know what time it is when the jazz come on. It's time to end the show, and I appreciate you guys tuning in. All right, you want to go ahead and like the video before y'all head on out, or go ahead and leave us with that. I appreciate the support. Anyway, guys, I'll see you guys on the next stream. This is S.E.T Media, and I will see you guys